How are we doing, Rangers fans? We are back with another live episode of Rangers Ed, episode 154, as always, sponsored by Lucarelli Law. If you're in Florida or New York and you need some legal advice, hit up Dom Lucarelli, and he'll definitely hook you guys up. As well, we'd also like to thank O'Brien's Bar and Grill. We had an event last week with them. We'll get into that in a second. And I'm just going to shout out all of our sponsors right now because this is going to be kind of a last-minute thrown together episode. We had something prepared, but obviously the big news today caused us to switch gears a little bit. So I want to shout out Bella Italia Marble. We're actually going to do a little mini coach's corner in a few minutes as well before we bring on our very special guest. I want to shout out Old Country Tile. We actually do have a milestone moment later, so they sponsored the milestone moment. Blue Line Blue Shirts. Technically, we do not have a jersey profile tonight, but we're going to have him sponsor the Arthur Staple interview. So Blue Line Blue Shirts, go follow Mark over on Instagram, TikTok, and X. Mark is also backstage, and he and Allie will be joining us later on this episode when Arthur has to leave us. So we're excited to talk to you guys. We got some big news. But before we do that, I wanted to just shout out all of our socials. I wanted to remind everyone that if you're watching this on YouTube, please subscribe. When we get to 500 subscribers, I'm going to give away a nice gift certificate from the workshop. I believe I said in the beginning of the season, $200. But if I didn't, I'm saying it now. So as soon as we get to 500 subscribers, I'll be giving away a gift certificate for that. If you're not familiar with Little Ed's workshop, it's something myself, Lindsay, and Coach Ed kind of do on the side, a little woodworking business where we do sports memorabilia and other different woodworking crafts and signs and all that good stuff. So if you guys need any custom things done, definitely hit us up or subscribe on YouTube and maybe you'll win the gift certificate. So not only should you subscribe to our YouTube, but please head on over to Name 5 Players and check out that podcast as well. We've officially welcomed Allie and Name 5 Players into, for now, called the Rangers Ed Podcast Network, I suppose. But we're working on a name and working on putting everything we need together for the network and combining forces officially. So we're very excited for that. Coach, I cut you off. What were you going to say?
I might have to subscribe to the YouTube to get a chance to win something.
Yeah, we got to figure out how to get Coach. We got to teach Coach how to subscribe to YouTube channels because there's a lot of media that Coach Ed misses out on in terms of Coach Sullivan, his favorite, and all the players in the locker room and stuff. So we definitely got to have him subscribe to the Rangers YouTube channel. And maybe we'll be getting a press conference with Chris Drury later on tonight. We saw Molly Walker tweet out that he's addressing the media. A little confusing. Is that going to be televised or is it just going to be a closed door meeting? I think the Devils did that recently where Fitzgerald just had the media in a room and he kind of like did his version of the letter, if you will. So maybe it's going to be something similar to that where he uses the media to bring us the message, I guess, whatever you want to say.
It's funny how there's like always this strange turn of events like I've been talking about with the Devils as well, where one year they're, patting everybody on the back. Fitzgerald did a great job getting Nico Hischier, signing Timo Meyer, Dougie Hamilton. They had this team that was, phenomenal. Now I'm hearing I've seen on Instagram they're looking to, the fans are calling for his head. 2 years ago he was the greatest GM of the century, and it's like anything else. To me, I don't know. It gets very frustrating for me because you can hem and haw about Chris Drury. He has made some mistakes. Everybody that works for a living makes mistakes, and you have to try to learn from him. Unfortunately, he's in the limelight in New York City, so it's a little bit more focused. But he picked to me 3 great coaching staffs. The players still didn't respond so far. And I've been saying for 4 years that they're never going to win a cup with Panarin. So now he finally moves Panarin, which he didn't have a choice really at this time. And people are still calling for his head. I mean, is he perfect? No, but that's a day for another discussion on Coach's Corner we're going to have next week with the scouting system and what have you. But I don't know.
Well, I
can't blame him 100%.
Well, I mentioned it already. Arthur Staple is our guest this week. Very excited about that. Actually, a big thank you to Sean over at Hockey Night New York. That's what I wanted to mention as well. He invited us to his event at Borelli's last week. It was the Thursday night game against the Islanders. So we had a great time there. I had a chance to hop up on stage, meet Arthur, kind of live on camera because it was like a little last minute situation. So I jumped on stage, met Arthur, and I actually got interviewed by Arthur. So that was pretty cool. And we're going to return the favor tonight. Arthur is very generous with his time. He's going to hop on with us in a little while. So we'll definitely be able to pick his brain on that whole situation, maybe how the media handles things and vice versa. We had a great time at dinner with him that night, and he gave us a nice peek behind the curtain. So I think you guys will be excited for that. So yeah, Coach, you want to get into a little mini Coach's Corner kind of Panarin theme so we can give Bella their commercial?
Sure. Let's get started.
Let's do it.
Hey everybody, Coach Ed here. I'm over here in the shop at Bella Italia, Marble, Granite, and Quartz, picking up my order for a nice little bathroom I'm doing. I've been a contractor almost as long as I'm a hockey coach. So listen to me when I tell you, when you want the quality work and craftsmanship, come and see the boys over at Bella. They serve all 5 boroughs, Westchester, Long Island, all the way out to Montauk. Whether you're a Ranger fan, Islander fan, Devils fan, they're going to take care of you no matter what. Make sure you give them a call, 516-561-1018. Let's go, Rangers.
All right, boys, bring it in. I can't believe I got Marble, Granite, and Quartz wrong. Anyway, say hello to, go over and visit Bella. Say hello to the boys over there. They just measured up a nice job for Kathy's, and then she's going to be putting in some granite tops. So
nice.
I mean, I wanted to relate. We were talking about the slow starts the Rangers have been getting all season pretty much. I mean, forget about last year, but they seem to be playing to the end of the game and competing, but they're having trouble with the slow starts. And I'm going to directly relate it to, I'm not going to blame Panarin 100%, but there are a few things that I'm going to relate it to the way he plays and the frustration that I have when I watch it. So basically, he has been dumping the puck in more this year. He did with the Rangers. So he was, I thought, managing the puck well, but then the timing of the dump in wasn't good. He would have guys, because they're so used to getting that cross ice flop and going in, they were more or less kind of stopping here, and then he would
Coach, turn your camera a little bit more, and it's okay, and just tilt it down a hair.
So Panarin would usually be coming down the wing here, and his normal play would be to dump it cross ice to somebody. So he would kind of fake that, then dump it in hard. Now these guys are already stopped, waiting for that, or slowing down, maybe not stopped. So now by the time they turn on the speed and get to that, the other team's D and wingers may be engaged in that. We're not getting that good puck battle in that opposite corner. So to me, the timing of it, you know, when you're a player that likes to do the moves and the nifty plays that he usually does and succeeds at, but now that the league's, we feel, catching up to him, now he's trying to change gears a little bit, hopefully from the coaching staff, and then he couldn't really adapt to that, in my opinion, fast enough. So the dump in and the pursuit of the puck was difficult to time. When you got to remember, when you're watching a hockey game, yeah, you could just say, let's just dump it in, but there has to be a plan. It's not always just a simple throw it into the other zone. There's the opposite corner dump in. They did it with Kreider a bunch of times when he was here, where he would beat the icing from down on the other end of the rink and they'd do the dump in. So a lot of the dump ins are planned. It's not just, let's just shoot it in hard. So the guy with the puck dumping it in has to read that. has to read that he has two guys on the other side coming hard at the blue line, and then he dumps it in hard. You can't make them stop or slow down and then dump it in because the timing's off and the other team's able to adapt quicker and battle for the puck or even get the puck before the forechecker. So as far as that goes, you have anything to add on that, Ed?
No, that was that's similar. I mean, that was like one of my biggest pet peeves as a coach is like, it's great because we like to promote a dump and chase game with certain players, and whatever other players have different freedoms or liberties, if you will. But I always said like dump it with a purpose is like what you were just saying. Like, don't just like dump it in just to get back to the bench and be like, yeah, coach, I dumped it in. It's like, okay, great. But like, you didn't go chase it. You didn't wait for your line mates or anything like you just explained. I mean, a big thing is like you can't, I mean, maybe at our level, the goalies aren't very good at it, but at the NHL level, they are. You can't dump it in where the goalie is going to be able to stop it behind the net and give a free pass to the defenseman. You have to make sure that you ring it around the glass hard or something like that where the goalie can't get it, you know, because then once that goalie gets it, they're pretty much a sixth or a third defenseman out there at that point. You're not allowed to touch them. You're not allowed to hit them. So that's another thing. You have to dump it in hard enough where the goalie can't get it or make it bouncing so he has to have trouble playing it. There's a million different factors, like Coach just said. It's not just dumping it in, and it's a lot more. There's more of a science to it, if you will.
Yeah, definitely, because that's why they have the trapezoids, right? That's why they came out with that with Martin Brodeur. So again, like Eddie said, it has to be a timing play where you're going to go opposite corner into the trapezoid, which was generally like this. Or you got to dump it in soft where it lands in this trapezoid to where the goalie can't play it. Or hard all around the glass, like Eddie said, so it comes around this way. You know, so, and that's basically it on the dumping situation.
The one thing I wanted to add is like from a defenseman's perspective, I think I mentioned it on like maybe 2 episodes ago. That's like one of the hardest things to do in hockey. Might be the hardest thing other than being a goalie, I guess. And then the other one would be like receiving the puck as a wing on the boards on the breakout. But I was the defenseman. So going back on a dump in when you have another guy, maybe even not double your size, but a few inches on you. You know, you have Rempe breathing down your neck. You got Ryan Reed, whoever it is in the NHL, breathing down your neck, going back for that puck. It's no joke. That's why you see a lot in the playoffs, a lot of dump and chase style hockey, because everyone is going 110%, flying around, getting that puck in deep. It's like, it's almost impossible for the defenseman to make a perfect play on a dump in. You know what I mean?
Right.
To turn around, make the first pass to his partner or to whoever, make the first pass out of the zone. Like, that's why Carolina is so successful up to a certain point in the playoffs, because they do that perfectly.
Yeah. And again, that play by the defenseman going on the defensive side of this play is a timing play also, because his partner has to time it to get there. The reverse has to be made, or the wing has to come down the wall. That's the other thing that I think we talked about, or I wanted to talk about last time, but we got distracted. Did I talk about the wingers waiting for the puck?
Not
breakout?
Not much in depth. If you want to touch on it again, because Panarin does do that a lot, I feel like.
Oh, a lot. I noticed when we were out in California, I think I did talk about it because we had good seats, and it was constant. It was like,
I think you were saying more about Laffy. So, but yeah, go ahead.
I mean, Radish was doing it. They were all doing it, and it's disturbing to me. I can't believe the coaches aren't making them adapt to it. The puck would be coming around, and they would just wait for it. And the defenseman had a field day just getting on top of them. They couldn't get the puck out of the zone. It led to at least 2 goals against the Ducks. It was incredibly frustrating to watch, where the player, when that puck's coming around, you know, they talk about a thing called shoulder checks. Shoulder check. So this forward that's waiting for the breakout, he has to check the shoulder, turn his head, that means, see what this defenseman's doing, see what the forward is in the high slot defending doing. And if the puck's coming around, he shoulder checks and sees the D pinching hard, then he's got to come down to the puck. He can't wait for it, because then he's getting engaged, and then this forward joins, and we're not winning that battle. It's a 2-on-1 battle, and the puck's not out of the zone, and it happened on a regular basis. Yeah. You know, that's a stat that I try to keep track of with our team. general and build on it because it's an important stat.
Definitely.
Well, let's get back to the Panarin situation. We still have a few minutes or no?
No, actually, Arthur's backstage. So why don't we?
Okay.
I think that's what everyone's here to discuss. We already are discussing the Panarin situation, but we might as well bring in a veteran to help us here. So without further ado, longtime NHL writer, current co-host of Daily Faceoff's Tri-State Hockey, which I listened to the episode today. It was phenomenal. Arthur Staple, how we doing, bud?
I'm good, guys. Good to see you again.
Yeah, good to see you too. Before you got on, we told everybody about our evening at Borelli's. We had a blast with you and shared some pizza, wings, and good stories. So good to see you again.
Yeah, you guys too. I was watching a little of the Coach's Corner here. I was learning something, so always good to know.
Good. Yeah, we like to do that on every episode, bring a little education into it and not just talk about the headlines, but we don't really have a choice tonight. But before we get into that, Arthur, we wanted to talk a little bit about your career and give everyone a little bit of a background. So would you be able to share with us like where you got started, why you wanted to become a writer, kind of just start from the beginning?
Long time ago now, but I grew up in on the east side of Manhattan and got connected with a guy named Stan Fischler when I was a senior in high school. And, you know, he was a guy whose books I'd read and whose columns in the Hockey News I'd read when I was a kid. And I was super jazzed to be able to work for him. I was his Rangers correspondent way back in my senior year of high school in the 88-89 season, which if there's any old timer fans out there can remember, that was Guy Lafleur was a Ranger for part of that season. That was Brian Leach's post Olympic start as a Ranger. Tony Granato was there. Mike Richter popped into a playoff game. Phil Esposito was the GM. Michel Bergeron was the coach. So I got to see a lot of different stuff happening when I was a kid and fell in love with being in a locker room and talking to guys and just, you know, being around hockey in that way. And, you know, got out of college and came back, interned at the Daily News and ended up working at Newsday, bounced around for a little bit. I was actually working in New Jersey at the Bergen Record in '94 and got to cover most of the Rangers playoff run, especially the Rangers Devils series, which was a great time. Again, just kind of being a part of that, growing up as a Ranger fan. My brother, who's a few years older, is still a diehard Ranger fan. And, you know, to be able to kind of be in that locker room after the Matteau goal was pretty special, and bounced around a little bit. Ended up working at Newsday for about 20 years, covered the Rangers in the dark days of 01 to 04 before the full year lockout. So saw some crazy stuff then too. Not much of it good, but it was also still an education to be around guys like Messier and Eric Lindros and Theo Fleury. Leach again, who's, you know, Brian is still a guy whenever I see him at the Garden or text with him, you know, one of the all-time class acts, you know, a guy who to me is Mr. Ranger, you know, just from watching him play when I was in high school to seeing what he accomplished throughout his career, just, you know, class through and through. So I always enjoy catching up with him. And, you know, covered some football there, covered one of the Giants Super Bowls at Newsday, and then was lucky enough to latch onto the Athletic when they were first starting out in 2018, and spent, you know, 7 great years there covering Islanders and Rangers after my buddy Rick Carpinello retired. And, you know, it's been a nice, long, fun career, you know, 35 years of writing and talking about sports and hockey in particular, and never gets old. And there's days like today, which, you know, I'm sure you guys too, refreshing Twitter at like 2:59 and 59 seconds and just kind of waiting for the news to come down. I had heard a little bit about LA a couple hours before, but, you know, you just kind of wait to see the official word. And it's always fun when it does come down and you see what the actual deal is and all that stuff and the reactions. And, you know, it's been real fun being around the Rangers and the Islanders. I have a lot of, you know, good memories and good friends that I've made over the course of these, you know, 3 decades or so that I've been covering hockey, and being able to do it now, or, you know, got 3 kids and a couple of elementary school age ones at home that I'm able to take to the bus every day, and I'm not out on the road in Ottawa in the middle of February or something like that. So I'm kind of enjoying this phase of it too. And so it's nice to think back to all those years ago, but I like where I am now too.
Nice.
Yeah, that's great.
Very exciting.
Before we move on, Sean will be mad at me if I don't mention it. You're now also the co-host of Hockey Night in New York, which is an Islanders-centric podcast. So I myself was surprised to hear that you grew up a Rangers fan, because obviously you're covering. Well, I guess on Tri-State you cover all three teams, but on Hockey Night in New York, it's just the Islanders. I mean, I know you were a guest on Sean's show a bunch, but do you kind of focus more on the Islanders now, or you kind of just fell into that?
You know, working at Newsday, the Islanders are kind of one of the king beats there. You know, it feels small, but you know, in Newsday, when I started there back in 1997, obviously it was kind of the heyday of newspapers. They covered a lot of different stuff. But you know, when I kind of made the transition back from covering football to covering hockey again, and ended up on the Islander beat, you know, it feels like as we got into the 2000s, 2010s, you know, the legacy media, things in the digital world, things get a little smaller. You know, you see it. You know, podcasts, obviously like yours. You know, fans want to hear from other fans. They want to hear from people that are passionate about the teams. They want to have that conversation going. So it's kind of having that impartial view of the teams isn't quite as important, and you sort of look at what's the most, you know, what's the thing people are looking for, a connection when you're writing about the team and you're tweeting, and you kind of have, you know, it puts more of a face to the people that are covering it. And it just sort of fell into the fact that I was available, could cover the Islanders, and I kind of came along with them at a time about 15 years ago where they were, you know, definitely kind of firmly in laughingstock territory. It was a very small operation. Garth Snow was the GM. And I was really the only one around. So, you know, you develop some really close relationships with people there, whether it's players or coaches or staff or whatever, kind of like I had done a little bit with the Rangers 10 years earlier. But I really enjoyed it. It was good for my family at that time to be able to kind of be the lone guy out there and be able to be the reliable voice. You didn't always have to be trekking out to Long Island. I worked at Newsday for 20 years. I never lived on Long Island once, which is a failing of mine. But, it just kind of worked out that way. And so you become, in this day and age, you become the Islanders guy. And, you know, it's funny, on Twitter or wherever, you know, the fans get so passionate about it. There's Ranger fans. When I'd cover the Rangers last year, it's like, he's an Islanders guy. He's always been an Islanders fan. And then, you know, I think I did an Islanders podcast many years ago where I said I grew up a Ranger fan, and I'd get the Islander fans saying, oh, he's a Ranger fan, he's a traitor. So if you're getting it from both sides, I feel like you're probably doing something right. So, you know, to me, the relationship.
Well, that was kind of Stan Fischler back in the day. He
right.
kind of he jumped on the Islanders bandwagon, but he was writing for a long time.
Oh yeah, he was a Ranger fan from way back.
Yeah.
And, so, you know, I kind of gave up on the fandom pretty early. It was cool to be in the press box in '94, and I wasn't there for Game 7 of the finals, but just to be able to kind of see them win it, mostly like through my brother's eyes, who had been a little bit longer suffering than me. So now, it'd be great to cover a cup. I got to cover the 03 finals when it was Jersey and Anaheim. And Mike Rupp, who's my co-host on the Tri-State Hockey Podcast, I remember interviewing him on the ice. He's skating around with his baby daughter after he scored. I think he had the winning goal in Game 7, and that he kind of just been thrown into the lineup as a rookie. And one of those memories that you're like, yeah, this is pretty cool to be able to see that. You know, you certainly understand why the fans get so into it and can be combative at times or over the top at times, because you just want to see your team win. And feels like right now, where the Rangers are, even a little bit where the Islanders are, even though they're having a good season, it's tough. You know, to me, I say this, and I know that most Ranger and Islander fans, even though they won't admit it, would agree with me. It's way better when they're both good, and it's been so rare over the decades that they've both been good. To see them play a playoff series, it's been since '94. That's my deepest dream, is to get that rivalry back to the level that it used to be when I was a kid, where in the '80s they'd play every year in the playoffs. You know, '79 was kind of the first year I was really paying attention to hockey, when I was about 6-7 years old. And when the Rangers upset them and kind of held the dynasty off for another year. And then the Islanders would just face them every year. It was quarterfinals, semifinals. It was kind of automatic. And I know that's probably, little Ed, that's before your time, but
I remember it well.
It was amazing. And the rivalries and being able to be around guys like Bobby Nystrom, who's, lives on Long Island now, and Clark Gillies, may rest in peace, who was just an incredible beauty, talking about those years where they went from the little brothers to the big brothers, and guys like Dave Maloney, who is one of my neighbors up here in Connecticut, who I've known for a long, long time, and just hearing them reminisce about those days, it gives you goosebumps to think about what the rivalry was like. So I feel pretty lucky to have covered both sides of it for as long as I have, and if the fans want to say that I'm cheering against them or pulling for the other team, you can't fight the internet. That's my general feeling about that.
Oh, we're definitely learning that today. That's for sure. But yeah, I mean, the only thing I remember is I used to come home from high school in 03, 04 and be like, "Oh, Dad, Erica's teasing me again. The Islanders beat the Rangers last night." And I just remember him saying, "You have no idea what I went through in high school as a Rangers fan." So, that's a little before my time. But yeah, I agree with you. It's fun when the rivalry is a little bit more heated and both teams are good. We talked about that at Borelli's too. It'd be great to share some content and get out and watch a playoff game together and that kind of thing.
They need to get that going. I'm sorry. They need to get that going. I agree with you, Arthur, because I go to Islander Ranger games now and there's nothing going on.
Yeah.
I remember when I was a kid, not that this is good, but there'd be at least 4 or 5 fights in the stands during the course of a game. The rivalry was incredible on and off the ice.
It was,
now you go to the game, it's like there's no cheering. Yeah. You go to the UBS, there's more Ranger fans, not more Ranger fans, but there's a good portion of Ranger fans at the game. At Islanders home game, it's like it's lost, and I hope they change the scheduling and the playoff structure so that can happen more.
Yeah, I think that has a lot to do with it.
Yeah, it just seems like they just kind of missed connection. I think 14-15 was kind of the closest we got. The Islanders, I think if they had won their last game, they blew a lead late and cost themselves home ice. If they had been able to beat Washington, the Rangers were waiting in the next round, and it went to Game 7. And I was just kind of thinking when I was down there in DC for that one, thinking like, man, not just selfishly that I wanted to have a series where I could be home after covering a whole season, because that's
nice.
And when that's the age that I'm at now, and I've been at for the last 10 or 12 years, where I'm just thinking like, I just covered 70 plus games. Can I just be home for a little bit? I don't want them to lose, but you just want to be able to sleep in your own bed during a whole series. But it was, and it was, even talking to the guys on the Islanders, they were digging it. They were thinking like, the Rangers, that was really like the middle, or kind of, just after the year after they went to the finals, and they were kind of feeling it, and had been, a couple of conference finals, and the Islanders were just starting to get good. And I think there were guys on the team that were like, we want to effing show these guys that we're good. We want to get all, our neighbors on where we live on Long Island aren't all Islander fans. We got to change that. And I remember it kind of echoed the conversation that I had for an Islanders book that I did with Clark Gillies about, the early 70s when Clarkie was a rookie on the Islanders, maybe their second or third year of existence. And he's sitting at Nassau Coliseum, and all, they play in the Rangers score. And it sounded like a road game. And he was sitting on the bench. I think he was sitting next to Eddie Westfall, and he just turned to Westfall and he's like, "What is this?" He's like, "Get used to it, kid." And Clarkie's like, "This is bullshit. Like, I can't stand for this." And you look at what that Islanders team was able to become. And I have no doubt in saying this, the Rangers being the Rangers helped fuel what the Islanders became 100%. If they were a team that was out in Kansas City or wherever, they could have been a championship team, but it wouldn't have had the same tension, the same juice that they had, because they came along so quickly in the shadow of the Rangers, and then kind of overtook them at that time in the early 80s. It definitely, I think the Rangers being there and being the dominant team helped that dynasty, get into existence. Maybe not the thing Rangers fans want to hear, but talking to those guys, I think that was definitely the case.
Trust me, Arthur, as a kid, I hated it. But as I got older and started coaching in the late 80s, I respected the hell out of what Al Arbor did. Yeah. I tell my kids all the time, this is what we, this guy, Clark Gillies, this, that, the stories were incredible. I hated it with a passion at the time, but you had to respect Dennis Potvin, the
Yeah.
way he played, it was just crazy.
Yeah.
The way they ran that team was excellent.
Yeah.
I got a question for you on the you mentioned Leach as Mr. Ranger. I don't know if you want to touch on it or anything. How do you feel about when they let him go? Did Brian ever give you any sentiments you could share with us? Or
I mean,
because
he was.
I remember when it was happening, I had said to Eddie he was his favorite Ranger. I said, "There's no way they're letting Leach go. There's no way he's retiring a Ranger."
I remember seeing the ticker. I was young. I remember crying about it.
It was tough. It was a shock, even to us on the, covering the team. We felt like you did. Like, how could they let this guy go? I understand that they were hitting a phase after so many years of disappointment and lack of success, and just trying to buy over the hill players to kind of prop them up. You thought, okay, here comes the teardown, but it's not going to be Leach, and it's not going to be Messier, and it's not, Mike Richter was kind of already basically into retirement because of his concussion. So you just thought, like, those guys are untouchables. You can't do anything with them. And he was one of the first ones to go, as I recall. It was real. There was just a real sense of shock around the team. And, I never really talked to Brian about it. He was hurt. You talk to people who knew him. He was really hurt. He married a Queens gal, and he was embedded in the fabric of New York City. My favorite memories of him was, leaving the Garden after a morning skate earlier in those, that 01, 02, 02, 03. And he'd have his Yankees hat on and a newspaper under his arm, and we'd share a ride on the subway going uptown up to where he lives. And I was going to have lunch with a friend or going wherever. I lived in the city then too. And, nobody knew him. Nobody bothered him. I'm sure maybe people did know him, but nobody. He was just like a guy on the subway going home from work to grab a bite before he went back to work. And that was the thing that I loved the most about him, that he had no airs about him whatsoever. So if he was super disappointed in Glenn Sather for making that move, and really, I think the disappointment came from not getting a heads up about it ahead of time to ask if he wanted to go or where he wanted to go. The things that you hear about now, I mean, obviously, we're going to segue into talking about Panarin with the no move clause, and that changes things, but those things didn't exist back then. But even then, there was still kind of a courtesy for a player of his stature that you'd say, we're changing our direction here. We could get a lot back for you. Do you want to go? Do you want to know if we can make a deal for you? Tell us what you want. And it just didn't happen. It was a real shock.
It seems like the Rangers have a history of that. We've talked about it on our show. I'm going back to when they traded Jean Rattel. That was a big shock I remember my father. I was young at that time, but that's when I loved Esposito. But then they screwed Gilbert, Giacomin.
Yeah, is the big.
I'm going to say in the same way that they did to Leach.
Yeah, it's not a great legacy to have out there for sure. I mean,
it's odd to me because they pride themselves on being an original six family, a team of family, and then when it comes push to shove, they I don't know. It's disheartening to me as far as that. I could deal with the losing and all that stuff, but I like to have that little bit of loyalty. And even Kreider recently also.
Yeah, it's tough to see it because the pressure on the front office, and it's been that way for decades, is so great. They haven't won really at all, the one cup in 86 years, and that weighs on you. And it seems the disconnect for me always was there's always free agents. There's always big stars that want to come play here because everybody, the place to play is, if you're an American, is Madison Square Garden. If you're an American hockey player, you want to play at MSG. Even Canadian guys, they feel it, the energy there. It's always kind of like outside of the, Bell Center or Toronto. The Garden is really the place that you want to put on a show on a big stage. And so I think guys really embrace that, which is great to see. But I think the flip side is when you get, and whether it's, when I was a kid, it was Marcel Dion coming in at the tail end of his career, or later on Gretzky, Messier, the second time he came back. You're getting these guys that are maybe not in their prime, but you've also, you've got big personalities. You have to know how to handle them. And it seems like sometimes they lose the thread a little bit about, you want to be able to bring these guys in, and you do what you can to bring them in and show them that this is a great organization and they treat everybody first class. But when it's time to get rid of them, and I'm talking whether it's Pavel Buchnevich or Jacob Truba or, like you said, Kreider, even when it comes to staff, like, Jim Ramsey, the longtime trainer who's now in Montreal, you have to be able to do it as gracefully on the way out as you did it on the way in, because eventually you'll run out of people that want to come here because word gets out. I understand the money is the money and New York is New York, but I'm curious to see, after the way this last year plus has gone, even if there were a lot of free agents available on July 1, would the Rangers money be enough to get, and still being the Rangers, be enough to get a big name free agent to come here, given what's gone on the last year plus with how they've kind of moved some guys out the door that were here and had a lot of success here?
I mean, even Panarin, he signed for less money with the Rangers, right?
Yep. This is
Instead
where
of the Islanders.
This is where he wanted to be.
Before we segue into Panarin, because that was kind of perfect, but I want to quickly ask, I mean, obviously right now, like, social media is the thing. I mean, we were reading about the Kings, the Sharks, the Red Wings, this team, that team weeks ago, right? I mean, before they even sat him out. What was it like before social media in terms of, like, breaking trades and like rumors? I mean, I'm not asking just for me. I'm sure we have a lot of listeners that have no idea. But I mean, what was that like in terms of, like, how you got that kind of news out or broke a trade?
It's wild. It sounds like I'm trying to talk to my kids about how to use a rotary phone when I explain this stuff. It's crazy.
I'm 36, Arthur. I'm not that young. I mean, I was there.
You really just sat by the phone. You sat by your home phone on July 1. You'd try to call people, hope that they had call waiting so that, you didn't get a busy signal. You'd be calling agents or whoever. This was, I was only in it briefly in the pre-cell phone era. But, it just, when stuff would break, you just wanted to be the one to, they'd answer the phone first and make sure they knew who you were. It was kind of it was an interesting time, and the relationship part of it was so huge then, because you had to be able to, you call somebody and just say, hey, I just saw you before, and, like, now we're talking and you're not talking to anybody else. So just tell me what's going on, and I'll sit there and write it up, send it in an email and a file to my office, and they'll put it in the paper the next day. I haven't really, the internet's existed obviously since I've been working in the 90s, but the immediate gratification of hearing something and posting it right away and getting it 6 seconds before everybody else gets it, where it's kind of like people who care about who had it first, if it's like a bombshell and nobody really would have known about it otherwise. The Panarin thing would have come out, there'd be 20 people who probably posted it within 6 seconds of each other, and it just kind of loses its luster. But the only time that I really remember I had an agent who I'd become friendly with, who was a pretty big agent, and Sergei Fedorov was moving on from Detroit, and he called me at like 2 a.m. Of free agency day and said that he was signing in Anaheim. And I was like, oh. And so I remember calling the Newsday desk. There was still one guy there at 2 a.m. That's how it was back then. And he said, yeah, we don't care. No one who picks up a paper on Long Island is going to care where Sergei Fedorov signed. So that was like, all right, well, I heard it. And if I had,
wow, that's
in the internet age, if I had posted that on Twitter when I heard it, I would have gotten a million retweets. And it's just, it's just one of those things. It's funny to think about. And it also kind of is a nice reminder that, like, not all news is the same. Like, you want to get something interesting, but really the important part is to know the people that you can talk to, like reaching out to people today. And I don't even, not even to really write anything, just to kind of find out, like, who is this prospect, Liam Greentree, that they got from the Kings. I kind of vaguely remember him from his draft year, covering that draft, and hearing him talked about and doing a little bit of research. But you talk to some people who were, prospect watchers or scouting directors at certain teams that, and you just want to have the background so that you file it away. And, when you are writing or talking, that you sound like what you're writing or talking about. I feel like we love the instant gratification now, and it's great. And I love that, Twitter is the best and worst thing that's ever happened in the news media industry because people can find out right away, but also it's kind of stripped of all context and everybody just wants to get their opinion in. But the value to me is knowing the backstory, knowing what happened, hearing about the twists and turns on the way to making this deal. So you can separate kind of fact from fiction when you see whether it's the Kings or Panarin's agent or the Rangers, like when they're putting their side out, you can kind of say like, oh yeah, I don't think that's true. Or that's, yeah, I'd heard that or whatever. So it's kind of like it's like a little game of Clue to kind of figure out what the real story is while you're kind of gathering your information. And that's always going to be fun.
When did you intern at the Daily News?
1993.
Did you know a guy, Dan Farrell?
The name rings a bell, but I'm not. That was a long time ago.
Well, just to go on piggyback on what you're talking about with the phone and everything, he was a friend of the family, let's just say, and he took me to a game. He was the lead photographer for the Daily News Sports.
Okay.
So he takes me to a game, a Giant game, on the field, camera, everything, the whole game.
Awesome.
We had to leave before the game ended because he had to get the film to Brooklyn for the Monday morning paper. I'm like, we can't leave. It's the game still going on.
The job is the job.
But we had to drive to Brooklyn, downtown Brooklyn, and he had to drop all the rolls of film off.
With rolls of film. That's crazy.
Just to get it in the paper for Monday.
Tweeting it right away. You take the picture, you tweet it.
Right. Yeah. You could just put it straight on the internet.
Yeah.
You don't even need a camera anymore. You could use your phone.
Exactly.
Well, I guess we said before that the Rangers have mistreated a lot of their whatever upcoming free agents or whatever star players of that nature. Do you feel like Panarin was mistreated in this situation, or do you feel like this is just something that was coming? It had to come, and that's that. I mean, he didn't win a cup. It's not like he was Brian Leach and won a cup, and
or Messier.
Or Messier, right?
Yeah, I mean, I mistreated. Whatever, made 70, 80 million bucks. I mean, I'd like to be that mistreated, but I think this kind of started, and this is not last summer. This is not calling Barca Goodrow 15 minutes before you're putting him on waivers to say, goodbye and good luck to a guy who was your first guy that you brought in. And, this is not that. This is a guy who was entering his contract year with a team that coming off a very bad season, whole new, new coaching staff, new, couple of new faces, kind of a retool, whatever you want to call it, as they were coming into this season, trying to rebound from what they did. And so I think it's just in the normal course of things, the negotiation that you'd have at the start of a season with a guy who's entering his walk year. And I think where it broke down from what I heard was it just, the first offer from the Rangers to Panarin wasn't a great offer. It was a big step down in term and in salary from what he was making. And, you can't say, oh, he was offended, but I think they were so far apart. And there wasn't really a lot of negotiation after that sets the stage. That says, if we're good this year, we'll revisit it. If he has a good year, and if we're not good, then we got to think about what happened today. And obviously, they've been as not good as they could be. So I think the writing is on the wall there, and you can see by the extension that he did sign. And I saw some reaction like this on Twitter without really putting any of the numbers out that I'd heard. My understanding was the Rangers offer was also 2 years. It was less than the 11 million that he's getting per from the Kings. But there's people rightly asking the question, 2 times 11, why couldn't the Rangers do that? 2 more years. It takes the guy to age 36. That's not that old for a guy who keeps himself in the shape that Panarin keeps himself in. He's obviously still producing at a high level. He's still a point per game guy on a team that barely scores any goals. So I think after the fact now, it looks a little bit worse. It looks like maybe they didn't treat him the way that they should have treated him. But to me, I think it really is just a regular negotiation. They started the team started at a number that Panarin and his camp didn't like. I don't even know if there was a response. I think there was a more wait and see how the season goes. We know how the season has gone, and so I think it took him a little while too to really wrap his head around the fact that he was leaving, and it took it down to kind of the last 2 seconds before this roster freeze today, before they made that decision. And from what's coming out, which I kind of anticipated, that the last few teams that had made their pitch, whether it was a trade and an extension or just a trade, to Drury presented it to Paul Theophanous, Panarin's agent, and he brought it to Panarin. And of that group, Panarin said, I only want to go to LA. So that kind of dictates what's going to happen. So if you're underwhelmed by the return, it was all in Panarin's hands. He could have taken it through 3:00 today and been a Ranger, come out the other side of the Olympics and taken it right to the wire on March 6th, the actual trade deadline. He could have blown right through that and said, you know what? I don't want to go anywhere this year. I just want to play out the string this year and then regroup with my family and figure it out on July 1. So I think with the threat of that looming, you have to make a deal if you're Chris Drury. And I feel like it's probably a decent deal given those circumstances. But I feel like the fact that he didn't get the extension that everybody was talking about, that he wanted 4 years, 12 million per, 11.5, some bigger number than that he settled on 2 times 11 for a team like in the Kings that's not really headed they're not shooting up the charts in the West. They're a team that's going to struggle to get in the playoffs and is going to run into probably the Edmonton wall that they've run into, what is it now, 4 years running or something like that.
Yeah.
So, I think once this stuff comes out, you're kind of like, did the Rangers do the right thing? And I think it's a worthy question. And there's definitely both sides to that.
Well, I guess time will tell that, right? If the Kings tank and this kid turns into something, or they get a pick and then it'll be a great move. If not, it'll be a big bluster as usual.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm not trying to, blow up our spot or anything, but we've been in the camp of like, it's been time, or it's been coming up to this time for a while, that the Rangers should go in a different direction. We discussed it a little bit at the dinner table, like I said before. But in terms of like the two-way hockey and things like that, I think it might have been time for Panarin to go. The 2 times 11 does surprise me. You really do think he's still worth the $11 million at this point? I mean, I know the salary cap is going up, but he is 34. The playoff production is not there necessarily. I mean, I know you kind of touched on it, but what are your feelings like directly on that?
Yeah, I think so. I think given the landscape, like you said, with the cap going up pretty significantly the next couple of years, he can still produce. He's a 90, 95, 100-point guy. And that is, to be able to do that 6 years in a row, basically, almost would have done it again this year if he'd played a full season, probably, even with all the Rangers' difficulties. There's only a handful of guys that can do that. And so I think you do have to pay, even for those declining mid-30s years. I think the fact that there were teams like Washington, probably like San Jose, that were willing to go to 4 years. I think that says that, yeah, he's still got it. And I think it's a good bet for LA. I think this is a great move for them, that you keep it to 2 years. You can kind of see where you're going to be. This is Anze Kopitar's last year for them. So you replace him as one of the stars of the team. They've got some decent young talent. It's kind of ironic that he's probably going to end up playing alongside Quentin Byfield, who was, the second pick in the draft at Lafreniere, was the number 1 pick, and was kind of considered to be, I think for LA fans, is a very similar situation to Lafreniere, where they're like, what do we have in this guy? He's popped a little bit the last couple of years. He's also a center versus Lafreniere being a wing. So I'm curious to see if Panarin can do for Byfield what he did for Lafreniere when they were on the line together, and kind of bring him up to this next level and hope to keep him there. And I think if that is a combination that works well for LA, they are a team that plays hard. They've got a lot of, I think they have their level of young guys is a little bit higher than the Rangers. I think goaltending is probably a little bit worse than the Rangers, but they do have some youth coming up behind the guys like Kopitar, who's retiring, and Drew Doughty, who'll probably be out of the league in a year or two. So, I think it's a decent bet for LA, and it's a decent bet for Panarin. I understood why he wanted to just move once in this trade where, he's got a couple of young kids. I don't know that he wanted to like be the mercenary and be the focus and kind of play, sing for his supper, I guess, if he went to Colorado or Dallas and be the guy to put them over the edge and get them a Stanley Cup. He's not that kind of guy. He's a very happy-go-lucky type of guy. And he takes his hockey very seriously, but I don't think he's the guy that's kind of going to say, give the rousing speech and put everybody on his back and kind of be that sort of player to come into a new room. So I think he wanted some comfort. He wanted to be able to have a choice. And he made his choice. And I don't know if it's going to lead to a lot of success in LA for that team. But I think the most important part for him in this process was being able to select his spot, and kind of the return and all that other stuff was pretty immaterial for him.
Yeah, we mentioned before how like ruthless Twitter and X and whatever else can be in terms of whatever the fans and whatnot. I mean, right now we're reading a lot about even more so fire Drury and things like that in terms of the return. I mean, can you put some of our fans' minds at ease at all, or are you kind of on board with that, where Drury kind of dropped the ball in this situation, other than maybe giving him that 2-year extension?
I feel like Drury's mandate, whether it came from James Dolan or whether it came from him at the beginning of after they came close but fell short to Florida in 2024 in the playoffs, he instantly pivoted to, I need to change the core of this team. And it was very apparent. He sent Goodrow away, tried to get rid of Trouba, got into this wrestling match that ended up getting really ugly. The season starts. There's definitely a tension in the room. It's translating to the ice. They don't look good. Then comes the text heard around the world where he's opening up the trading floor to all the other GMs, and he names Kreider and he names Trouba, and that stuff is going to get out. So, you can make the change. And I think seeing how the team responded last year, I understand that people kind of, it's chicken or the egg thing. Like, would they have fallen apart had Drury not been trying so hard to break them apart in the summer? Or was this group just not able to get over the hump? Where they, did they give it their best shot with the getting it to Game 6 in the Eastern Conference Final in 22 and 24, and that was all they could do? Hard to say, but the reality was the room was fractured. The GM was the one who initiated the fracture. It's not an insult or an opinion. It's a fact. He was the one that wanted to make this stuff happen. So he did. And now we're still seeing the residuals. Keandre Miller is gone, and the kid line from that had such a great playoff run in 22, except with the exception of Lafreniere, is gone. I think the issue, if I was a Ranger fan, and the issue that just trying to be as objective as I can about the team, is kind of the inconsistency. Like, you get rid of Kakko, fine. He is what he is. You see him in Seattle. It's not a dynamic offensive team. He's a middle six winger. He's a guy who's going to be a 40, 50 point guy at most throughout his career. So I understand why maybe a number 2 pick needs a change of scenery for that. But you make that determination on him. But Lafreniere has a good season, and then you instantly extend him for 7 years, which kind of goes against this, like, hey, I don't know if this group is the right group. You make the trade, you trade Kakko, you get Will Borgen back. Fine second or third pair defenseman, very capable. Within a month, you signed him to a 5-year extension. So I think the kind of, the whiplash you get from saying, well, why is this guy over here? We got to do everything. We got to move heaven and earth to get rid of this guy. But this guy we just brought in, our Alexis Lafreniere, has a decent run. We got to extend him right now. It just seems like you have patience with some guys, but not so with others, or you have to get certain other guys off the team. To my mind, if you're extending Alexis Lafreniere, you're extending Keandre Miller too. Keandre Miller is a similar kind of player, highly skilled. Maybe needs to mature a little bit in the context of being a Ranger. Had some kind of fits and starts in the maturity department, but undeniable skill and filled a real need on this team. but you don't see the need to kind of extend that, and then you go out and get a guy in Vladislav Gavrikov who's older, and Gavrikov I think has been a decent player considering all the nonsense that's happened this year, but you've also got him for 6 more years now at his age. So I just think the consistency maybe is the thing that confuses me, and I think drives some fans crazy. That why have we quickly identified guys that we need to extend, whereas other guys we've seen them for a while and we're not really on the fence. We've got to move heaven and earth to get them out of here. So, I think Drury's in a tough spot. He came in after Jeff Gorton and John Davidson were swept aside because James Dolan was losing patience with, the letter number 1 and the slow pace of the rebuild and kind of some of these young guys not panning out. So his mandate to Chris Drury was, we're going to win. We got to get back to winning. And they did, 2 conference finals and 3 in his first 3 years as GM is pretty good track record. And to instantly, to kind of quickly pivot to, we've got to go to this next phase. Fine. But you do know that when you turn a team around in the age of no move clauses and all this other stuff, you're turning a cruise ship around. You're not turning a tiny little speedboat around. It's going to take some time. And I think maybe the inconsistency part that I keep harping on is the one thing that I'm kind of like, you can't, if you're going to do that, you got to commit to it and get rid of as many guys as you can, kind of like they might do now. And then you just quickly turn it around. You're the Rangers. You can go out and make a trade. You can go out and sign a big name free agent, but you also have to understand the landscape that you're dealing with and accept that there's going to be some losses in the years between the first phase and the second phase.
I don't. My big qualm is the one year they went to, I guess it was 22 when they went to the Eastern Conference Finals. They got Kopp for Toronto with the trade deadline. That team gelled, and then after the season, they just let them go.
Yeah,
you had to me a good. You're a player or 2 away from getting over that hump. And then they did the same thing after the Florida series. Right away was get rid of Trouba, get rid of this. You were only a player or 2 away. You had a good group. I don't know. I looked at it totally different. So I don't give them credit for that. I disagree with that. The way they just like move 4 or 5 guys out. You're changing the whole dynamic of the team. I don't know. I thought that was very odd.
Yeah, because like you said, like these things don't happen overnight. They take time. So for a team to gel together like that, you're setting yourself back a while for sure.
Yeah.
And these guys they got rid of are succeeding where they're playing now.
I mean, right. they're veterans. They're winning players. Kreider and Trouba are helping Anaheim because they helped the Rangers. I understand a lot of Ranger fans have a lot of animosity towards Jacob Trouba. I'm a little confused by it because I thought he was a pretty good captain and a pretty loyal guy. And I think not waiving your no move because you want to be with your wife and your young kid while she finishes her residency. I don't know if that's a thing that you want to get mad at people about, but
that was my argument.
And he was a unanimous choice as captain in the room. Everybody felt like he was the natural choice for captain. And I feel like when
fans too, I think at the time
when he was undercut in the summer, maybe he was a little bit too emotional about it. But if he can't be the captain of the team that is, already reeling a little bit from Goodrow, who was an integral part in the room being let go, if they're looking for leadership and the captain says, I can't provide it because I'm dealing with my own difficulties here, and then you throw Kreider into the mix, who was a lot of other people's choice for captain, and who's, if you're looking for a Mr. Ranger of the 21st century, he's your guy. And then you put him on shaky ground, in his place in the room because he's being shopped or whatever, and it's the first time that's probably happened for him in a few years. You can't expect things to go well. You can't expect stability in the room. You can't expect, if you're expecting some of the young guys to kind of step forward and take charge in that scenario, they're not going to do that because these guys are still there. These other guys, even though they're not really able to do what they need to do to kind of lead the group. And, it's, you're going to come across all these bumpy situations in any team. There's always kinds of things going on behind the scenes. The fact that this was so kind of became so public so fast, I think really hurt them too, and hurt Peter Laviolette and his coaching staff. I mean, Peter Laviolette's one of the 10 winningest coaches in NHL history. He's won everywhere he's been. He'd won the year before. They were President's Trophy winners his first year, and all of a sudden he can't coach. Well, no, he can't motivate a group of professional athletes that are questioning their own motivation and their own reasons for being Rangers. So it felt like it was, there were a lot of like foundational blocks that got knocked aside that year. And I think you still see a little bit of the result. Like when you see guys, this year, young guys like Will Cooley, who I've always found to be, his first couple of years, a real straight shooter. I loved talking to him in the locker room, especially last year. He was out a lot for a young guy. He was very, very honest about himself and his team's play and what they needed to do, and looked really frustrated about what was going on around him. And you see him have struggling this year, like a lot of young guys do in that sort of scenario. And you kind of wonder, like, what did he take away from the last year plus? Like, is his takeaway now, like, I should step up and be the leader? Or like, if I step up and stick my neck out, I might get my head chopped off like some of these other guys. So, I think you look at a team like, and we're not in any of this place, but you look at a Vancouver, or you look at a Buffalo, you look at teams that have lost a lot with good young players. And you say, you can call it a rebuild, retool, whatever word you want to throw on it. If you are trying to change a culture and change a room over in the middle of seasons and trying to do all this stuff on the fly, there's residual damage to the younger guys that see all this. They might see veteran guys that they look up to who are totally checked out and might say, I don't have to try. I don't have to go do media. I don't have to go sign kids' jerseys. Like, those guys aren't doing it. Why do I need to do it? And I just wonder about that culture word that gets thrown around a lot. And when you handle the veterans the way that the Rangers have handled the veterans in the last few years, the guys that they wanted to get rid of, the guys who were leading by example or leading with their words, I don't know that you leave a lot of space for young guys to suddenly say, well, now it's my turn, because you don't want the spotlight on you. You don't, JT Miller is the captain right now, and people were talking about, well, are they going to sell him off? They've traded their last 3 captains. I don't know that I'd want to be captain of that team right now. So
it's a curse.
It's just, it's almost like a self-fulfilling situation where you want, if you're Chris Drury and you wanted to make these changes, but you're tearing things apart, and the things, you're trying to slap it back together, and it's, now it gets away from you. Now it's not looking the way that you want it to look, and you just kind of keep fiddling. Like, where does it end? You'd hope that there's an end point here where you've got good young prospects that you can plug in, but also I think Ranger fans can, you don't need a very long memory to think back to 2018 to 2020. And a lot of those guys that they sacrificed a lot of veterans for did not pan out. So you have to say, is this going to work? Is this retool or whatever they're calling it? Whether they decide to trade Vincent Trocheck or Braden Schneider or anybody else off this roster, do you want to start back over again with a bunch of young guys? Because it didn't go the way that they had planned it the last time. So I can understand why you would think, I don't know if it's going to go that way this time, just because they put out another letter.
Wow.
I can't believe that coaching staff with Laviolette, Michael Pekka, that was like an all-star coaching staff.
I know.
I mean, all you have to do is look at the guy that was the least known of that group, Dan Muse. He's going to win the Jack Adams this year. He's taking a Penguins team that nobody thought was going to be anything but an 8th or 7th place team in the Metro, and they're playing great. And obviously, they've got Hall of Fame guys in that team, but they had Hall of Fame guys in that team when Sully was coaching them, and they couldn't do anything. They couldn't defend. I still, I watched them play against the Rangers last weekend and against the Islanders last night. I still got a lot of questions about some of their guys and certainly their goaltending, and I don't know that they're going to get very far. But the fact that they're even in second place right now, heading into this Olympic break with whatever 25 games left, like Dan Muse is a good coach, and that was something that I heard from a lot of guys in the room. You don't, Ed, you're the coach. I'm sure if you were watching a practice alongside me in Tarrytown when Lavi was the coach and that coaching staff, you could see a lot of different things that I couldn't see. But the thing that I noticed the most was, Lavi's always in charge. He's a guy who is loud and forceful, and that's the way he's always been back to his Islander days when he first got his first NHL job in 2001. But Dan Muse was a voice that you heard a lot during practice, running drills, a voice that a lot of guys respected. I mean, I remember, Chris Kreider and I used to talk a lot about hockey and kind of the ins and outs. You could ask him one X's and O's question and he'd give you a 20-minute answer. That's one of the things I love talking with Kreider about. And he would tell me a lot, like, this guy is going to be a good NHL coach if he gets a chance, because
that's interesting.
He just knew his stuff. He could run a drill really well. He could command a room really well. Those are, the things that I'm sure you know this well, like the things that go into being a good coach at any level aren't just about motivating young people or motivating players. There's you got to be organized. You got to look like, you got to project a commanding presence, especially at that level, because you have guys that are making 10 times as much as you, who don't necessarily have to listen to you because they're the best players in the world. And so Dan Muse, he had it. And even before that, coaching that crop at the U.S. National Development Program, where I think there were 6 top 10 picks. And I remember being at that draft in Nashville and talking to all the kids that he had coached, to every last one of them, whether it was Ryan Leonard, Oliver Moore, Will Smith, they raved about him. They loved playing for him. So it doesn't surprise me that Pittsburgh is playing way above the level that everybody thought they'd be. And Dan Muse, who was probably a guy that people were kind of like, huh, who's this guy? When they hired him, it's kind of ironic that Sully comes here with a lot of fanfare, and Sully is one of the best coaches in the last 50 years in the NHL. And he cannot get this group to be where it needs to be. And now it's in teardown mode. And Dan Muse goes and takes his old job with pretty similar cast of characters in Pittsburgh. And he's got them playing the right way and playing in a way that honestly Sully couldn't get that Pittsburgh team to do. And it's probably pretty surprising for a lot of people, but maybe, talking to some guys, like I said, that worked with Dan Muse, know that he's a guy who had it.
Yeah, they let him go. They let the coach of the Oilers, they let him go, Knobloch.
Yeah. It's,
not that they let him go. It sounds like the Giants in the 60s and 70s. My father used to complain they let Landry go, Vince Lombardi go. All these guys.
I mean, they did have several openings at the NHL level when Knobloch was the Hartford coach, and he didn't really get much consideration. So I'm sure it helps too that you're the guy that coached Connor McDavid when he was 15 or 16, and he he has a lot of good memories. But it's coaches at the AHL and NHL level are all good coaches, and it's just a matter of the right situation. So good for Knobloch. He's obviously, makes the job a lot easier when you have the 2 best players in the world. But
they had their ups and downs this year too.
Yeah, they're a team that's obviously they've been deep in the playoffs the last couple of years, and I think they've had a little trouble revving it up in the regular season because it's such a grind. You gotta just be able to be one of those 16 teams in the playoffs when you get to the end, just so you can, when to turn it on. And Connor McDavid, he's having a great year, but he certainly knows when to turn it on.
For sure. Well, Arthur, I feel like we could sit here all night and keep picking your brain. Every time you say something, I think of another question, but I don't want to take up too much more of your time. I'm sure you need to go have dinner or whatever else you'd like to do on your Wednesday night. But before we do let you go, I did put you on the spot at dinner that night, but I'm going to have to do it again for our fans. I told you about our sister podcast, Name 5 Players. So I want to ask you to do that again in terms of the direction of the team of the Rangers. If you were at the helm, or if you were Chris Drury, name 5 players that you'd hold on to, but everyone else has to go. Name 5 players on the Rangers.
Currently on the Rangers. Okay. Obviously Igor Shesterkin, Adam Fox, Mika Zibanejad. I'd keep Vincent Trocheck. I think he's an important part of your team, and he has been for a while. And centers are too hard to come by, so I wouldn't dump him. And Will Cooley's probably my fifth. So, I think the Will Cooley of last season when he scored 20 goals, and I think this is a kid who, when he could put it together and become a 25, 30 goal guy if he's your net front power play one guy. I'd keep him too. So that's my five.
You said Laffy at dinner though.
I did. I thought about it for a little while.
All right. Okay.
And I thought, you know what? I feel like I feel like I'm not saying that I certainly don't think I would have signed Laffy to that 7-year extension. I would have definitely tried to go a little bit shorter on that because I feel like he is a guy who needs a little bit of motivation.
And that's
so I'm curious to see how it's going to go for him. I don't get the sense that they're going to move him before the deadline. I don't think that would really be possible, but I wonder in the summer, when the landscape is a little bit broader and there's other teams that can sort of, take a breath and figure out what their future is going to look like and whether 7.35 or whatever is a manageable number for a guy who's got a lot of potential, but maybe isn't really a top line player right now, whether a team would take a flyer on that. I'm curious to see what the Rangers would do. I have a feeling that they would probably make that deal if they could. And I just think for the kind of the reasons I said about Will Cooley, I just find him to be a guy who's got future leader written all over him. So he's a guy I think I'd want to keep.
Yeah, we say that too. Yeah, I was just thinking, I think Laffy came up today on your episode or last episode. So I was like, I got to ask Arthur if he still feels the same way.
I have one more question before you go.
All right.
I've been trying to push for this for a couple of years now. On the retired Ranger numbers, they have Graves and Bathgate, Hatfield, Messier. Why don't they consider Brad Park with Brian Leach up there?
Excellent question. I am all for more retired numbers than less. I don't really get, I feel like Hall of Fame, it's fun. The debate is fun too, but I feel like, we're getting into the age now where, and Coach, you could probably say this too, where like people will forget, the only time I saw Brad Park play when I was a kid was with the Bruins and even with the Red Wings. That was kind of the tail end in the 80s for him.
Yeah.
I got no memories of him as a Ranger because I was too young for that. But we're going to lose that. You lose that connection. So I feel like you put the number up there and you have, whether you call it a Hall of Fame, Ring of Honor, whatever you want to call it, you bring more people in to the history of the Rangers if you have more numbers up there and people asking, who's that? And I feel like, Park certainly deserves it. I'm trying to think of anybody else that.
Well, I'm only saying it because they're doubling the numbers, like
yeah.
they did, and that to me it's a natural move to put Park with Leach. They were both number 2. And when I was a kid, I was very young at the time, but number 2 was Brad Park.
Yeah.
He had the book, Play the Man. With him on the car, that's just a big childhood memory of mine. And he was a Ranger. I mean, we looked it up. He wasn't a Ranger as long as I had thought, but he was a big part of the Ranger of the 70s with the rivalry against the Bruins.
Yeah.
With Gilbert, with Gilbert, Rattel, although, he was a big part of it.
He's an NHL Hall of Famer, and to me, if he
was always in the shadows of Bobby Orr at that time.
Yeah.
Bobby Orr was the man, but Park was like offensive at the time, not Bobby Orr-esque, but he was, an answer to it.
When you have a team with a history like the Rangers have, where there's not a lot of lifers, they don't have a whole slew of 1,000-game guys, they don't have a whole slew of 500-goal guys in Ranger uniforms. You should be honoring. You shouldn't say like, oh, well, he was only a Ranger for whatever 6 or 7 years. It doesn't matter. He was like you said, he was clearly the second best defenseman in the league for that whole time, and a guy who was super important to some successful Ranger seasons. So yeah, I'm with you on that.
So if you know anybody, you know, put the word in there.
I'll get right on it.
Oh man. All right, Arthur, thank you so much. I mean, I could tell you had a lot of fun on this one talking about the Rangers. So you're welcome to come
Absolutely.
back anytime to relive your childhood memories.
This is why I want to see an Islander Ranger playoff series. We could have side by side, Sean, Hockey Night, you guys sitting down there at Borelli's or any place of your choosing, and the dueling podcasts. I think the fans would really dig it.
No, I agree.
That'd be great.
And plus, you guys got your event for Tri-State Hockey coming up. I think we're going to come to that. We're definitely going to try to come to that. So looking forward to an event like that. It's super cool. Yeah, I told you guys had a great idea with that. The 3 teams. It's a no-brainer. Yeah. I don't know what took so long for someone to do that.
It's been a good time. So thanks, guys. I really appreciate this.
Good luck.
Have a good night, Arthur. Thanks for talking again.
All right, you got it. Anytime.
Talk soon. Wow. Well, that was awesome, Arthur. Thank you so much for your time. Very generous. I keep saying it, but we had a great time in person as well. So hopefully we'll get some more insight from Arthur in the future and have him back on. And once again, shout out to Sean at Hockey Night in New York for lending us his co-host for the night, and giving us some Rangers talk and things like that. So great time, Coach. What did you think? You're on mute.
I have to get my charger for the computer. Excuse me for a minute.
All right. Well, with that, I will bring on. I said it before. We're going to bring on Allie and Mark from Blue Line Blue Shirts, and Allie Johnson, of course. That NYR. I always do that. Why do I always do that on the show? That New York Ranger girl.
I tell you all the time. You're normally pretty good with it. Now it's in your head.
Only when I'm. No, that's the second time on the show. That NY Ranger girl. Mark, what's going on?
I just change it so it's easier.
No, don't do that.
What's going on, fam?
What'd you guys think of the interview before we get into the Panera?
I was so locked in. That was like one of the best you guys have done.
Solid interview with State.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, I can't take all the credit. That was definitely Arthur. He just took my softball questions and ran with them and gave us a ton of information and a little bit behind the scenes. It was interesting hearing about how things were handled before social media and things like that. So I'm glad we were able to talk about his career, not just talk about obviously the headlines that we're reading right now. So thanks again, Arthur. That was awesome. And I look forward to having you again. So guys, I mean, we got Arthur's thoughts on the Panarin situation. We didn't really get to hear too much of Coach Ed and I's thoughts because we would have taken over and probably forced him to get off the show or something. But when the news broke, Allie, today, what was your initial reaction? What were you thinking? I know you were running around doing some errands, but what was your thought process for the day?
So I had actually just got home from my errands, and it was like maybe an hour before they officially announced the trade. So I was like sitting by my computer, like refreshing, like for an hour, waiting for like the, where he was going, because there was 4 different teams there. First it was like, oh, they're finalizing a deal with Tampa Bay. Oh, now the Canes made an offer. Now the Kings are throwing their hat in there. Like there were so many, and so I'm waiting, and then all of a sudden, the news comes across the screen and the terms come across, and I'm just thinking, my first thought was I've been one of his harshest critics this season, but it's kind of sad that, he it's officially done. And then my second thought was, because then you read all the stuff on social media about firing Drury and this and that. And it's Panarin had all the control in this situation. Panarin and his camp had all the control in this situation. So yes, if you want to, blame Drury for, ruining this team or whatever you want to say. And, Arthur had some really good points about that. But at the end of the day, this was Panarin's decision. He literally told Drury, which it was on the press conference that me and Mark were kind of watching behind the scenes. It was on the press conference that Drury found out early morning that the Kings are where Panarin wanted to go. So it was completely Panarin's decision. And at the end of the day, I loved him, and he's going to be missed by every single Rangers fan. But at the end of the day, it was his decision. He didn't want to re-sign. He didn't want to really negotiate. And, it is what it is. So it initially hurt. It's like, damn, he's not going to be a Ranger anymore, but this is what he wanted. So good luck, Fred, in Hollywood.
There you go. Mark, what do you got? What were your thoughts for today? You did a great job keeping us updated with everything, by the way, so thank you.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure we got all the tweets out, so we were a little bit up to date. I know that was a really, really good interview. That Stape has a ton of really good hockey IQ. It was really fun to watch. But I'm just sort of happy the Band-Aids ripped off. We knew it was going to happen. It was one of those things like, let's get it done and let's keep moving. We're obviously going to miss Bread. I know you guys are going to go over blind rankings later, but I can tell you I've been to in-house for a ton of those events that he was a part of. So obviously he holds a place in everyone's heart, super fresh. But what do they say? The show has to go on. We're going to have to keep building. We're going to have to keep staying positive, and we're going to have to keep moving forward. Unfortunately, it's without Bread. But what's really going to stick is when he's back in March.
Yeah,
March 16th. Mark it on your calendar.
To be exact.
Is that St. Patrick's Day or close to it? It's got to be close.
It's the day before St. Patrick's Day, yeah.
17th, because it's Kim's birthday, St. Patrick's Day. So
my mom's birthday is St. Patrick's Day.
There we go.
Wow. Lots of Irish birthdays. Well, we know Mark will be having an extra Guinness or two that day, watching his ex-favorite
player. Pain.
buzz around in a white LA Kings jersey.
Oh, it's just tough. But what are you going to do? What's done is done.
What did I say the other night about the matte black helmets? Now Panarin's rocking one.
I still can't. I only collect Rangers.
There you go.
Come on. You're not going to get a Panarin Kings jersey?
Zero chance. I know you two are, though.
Not me.
I definitely would. He would. Little Ed won't.
Not me. Yeah, I'm with Allie, man. I mean, I hate yes, there's things that Drury could have handled. Coach Ed and I have been whatever, we voiced our opinions on those situations. Trouba, Kreider, Barclay Goudreau. I mean, you can go down the list, but you also look around the league. I mean, Vegas does pretty well when they do things like that. I mean, there are teams that are quote unquote cutthroat. Florida Panthers traded Huberdeau out of nowhere for Matthew Tkachuk. I mean, the list can go on. It's just a matter of how the players react and the maturity of them. And everyone's got a job to do. You still got to go to work, produce, do whatever you got to do. I mean, if you're facing adversity in the real world as like someone like us, and you're the boss of your job or whatever is giving you a hard time, what are you going to do? Go on Twitter and just complain about it? And you do something about it. You change it. And that's not something that the Rangers did last year, or realistically didn't do a great job doing it this year. And like Ali said, Brett had every opportunity to change things. He could have come out flying this year and given Drury no choice but to move a little bit on his negotiations. But he came off to a slow start too. I don't know if you got fans, I don't know if you remember, but Panarin came off. He was hurt at the beginning of the year. He got off to a very slow start where we're like, all right, the contract negotiations are obviously getting to him, whatever, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden he turned it on and decided he wanted to start playing. That type of attitude is what I'm personally sick of. To me, it is very selfish because the team-friendly deal was right there. I mean, there's writing on the wall around the entire league about teams taking the team-friendly deal, whether income tax or no income tax or anything, whatever it is. There's a million players around the league that do it. Connor McDavid just did it. He just signed a 2-year, $12.5 million contract. You're telling me Connor McDavid?
Edmonton.
Yeah, with Edmonton, you're telling me he's only worth $1.5 million more than Panarin?
Yeah.
Just a rebuttal on the income tax.
What?
He went to LA. So I mean, the
no,
tax
of course, that's
what
I'm saying.
It's probably worse than New York. So
100%. It's like 50%.
But that's just proving the point. Like he settled for somewhere with worse income tax instead of just being like, oh, I want to negotiate the deal here.
Right.
2 years here.
So yeah.
Well, it sounds like him and Drury just weren't on the same page. I'd like to know what that offer was that they made, the low ball offer. Because I think personally, I would have dealt with $11 million for 2 years to keep Panarin.
It's tough. I mean, obviously, we're not like the contract or whatever salary cap professionals here on the show, but it's hard to think because like that's what I was going to ask Arthur too, but we just ran out of time. It's like if they offer him the team friendly, who are they going after next? Because there's got to be you got to have someone on the team that's making like 13, 14 million, right? Like the formula is to have that star player in general. I mean, I know like Florida Barkov only makes what like 9 or something, but that was long before the salary cap went up. I mean, it's all relative. You know, the Rangers got to have that someone. Maybe Igor is that highest paid player, which I still think is a mistake.
Are we talking? I'm just going to read one of the quotes. I feel like we might be talking out of both sides. Just Chris Jury. Chris Jury said Artemi Panarin earned his no-move clause in his initial contract. He got a lot of control over the situation. He earned it and deserved it. So, you know, he's saying that he had earned that. That he was
he definitely deserved it. I don't necessarily agree with the ability to give it out to them. I don't even think it should be a thing realistically, but obviously that's what the NHLPA negotiates with the CBA agreement or whatever. But like it's just things like that. I understand he deserved it, but did he have to wait to the last minute? Did he have to handle things this way? I mean, there is a lot up in the air where we're seeing multiple reports, but that's the selfish part. Furthermore, for me, it's like, all right, it's out there. We decided we're moving on. You're not getting the extension. We're giving you the opportunity to go somewhere. He waited till the last day. Coach, what do you think about that?
I mean, most people who listen know my feeling on him. I didn't think that he would be the anchor that we were going to go to the promised land with. Who can they get to replace him? I don't know that answer either, but I do think he was a very, I mean, according to Arthur, he lives and breathes hockey. I get it, but you have to do that on and off the ice, in my opinion, to be a complete player in person. And I feel that that's not his attitude personally. And I felt that even though he's not an extrovert, he could have stepped up like we talked about last week and stepped up to the mic to support his teammates at some point. You know, I just don't, I'm not saying he's a bad person, but I think that's a very selfish move on his part as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. Like I said, we're kind of reading multiple things. So we as fans, we're always kind of speculating because especially as Ranger fans, we're really just never going to get the truth, I don't think, unless Panarin gets interviewed in LA or something and really spills the beans. The whole situation is just very, very odd to me.
He never did that here, though. That was never his MO.
As far as what?
As far as interviews or anything he did here, he's very soft-spoken. He was never.
Well, Chris Kreider was the same way, and then as soon as he went to
Anaheim,
he started doing podcasts and going to parties and things like that. You never know what a change of scenery does for a player.
Yeah, I mean, there's no secret that the Rangers keep everything hush-hush. I mean, we've tried to get some people that work for the Rangers or even work for the media on this show, and they've had to turn us down because of it. So it's really no secret that they try to keep all that stuff buttoned up, which honestly is another thing I disagree with. We've talked about it before where like the Islanders are much more fan-friendly now and let them go to events. The Devils do it too. I mean, there's a lot more. I know you, Mark, you could share your experience on casino night. We completely forgot about that for this episode. But like more things like that where it's like more fan-friendly. It's more like not transparent because you also don't want to know too much. We saw that with Jack Hughes yesterday or today as well with players speaking their minds in a weird way. But, you know, it's just like a hard thing to figure out. And like I said, like getting the multiple different stories, this person saying that it's false, this person saying that it's true. I mean, even Arthur was saying something a little bit different. Everyone's got their own perspective on the situation, and that's what's annoying to me also. Is there anything else you guys wanted to add on that part before we get into the return?
I like to read, maybe segue and help you. Just one quote that might help transition that.
Yeah, if you got any more, I know you sent us a bunch in the chat while Arthur was on.
Chris Drury calls Artemi Panarin arguably the best free agent signing in the 100-year history of the franchise. Mentions how happy they are to get Liam Greentree and reiterated some of the retool points from the letter. Said he wants to build a team that can win a cup, not just get into the playoffs. Quote unquote.
Yeah, so I mean, I kind of take that as a dig at
Towards
Panarin.
Panarin.
Coach,
That's
what
how
do
I
you,
took it.
Coach, what do you think about that
Look,
part?
again, I've been saying it for years. He's not the playoff player. He's not the guy that you need in the trenches. Yes, he can put up points, but those kind of points, and I've said it over the years too, they're all, what did I call those points? Useless points. What do I call them? I forget.
Oh man, you had something pretty good.
You talking about farting out points?
No. Was it just useless?
In other words, in a 6-1 game, he gets 5 points. All right, we didn't need the 5 points, and then in a tight game, he's not producing.
Right.
You know, yes, he gets the 100, 125 points, but how many are actually meaningful? I'm not saying he doesn't get any meaningful, but there's a lot of extra points.
Yeah.
In my opinion. Almost like an empty net goal kind of a point. I don't know. I can't think of the word I always used.
No, and not just game-winning points, game-winning goals, game-winning assists, overtime goals, whatever it is. It's always, like you said, like I think I brought it up on an episode recently when they beat Tampa like 6-1 when he shaved his head and he had the 5-point game. But then like the next game, he didn't do much or whatever. He went on a little bit of like a cold streak after that. So, yeah, I agree with you on that. There's no secret there. And it seems like Drury might agree as well. And I think that's the direction of the team that he's talking about. It's like, yeah, the points are great, but when it gets down to the real nitty gritty Eastern Conference final, even the quarterfinals, especially the Stanley Cup final, that kind of stuff doesn't work. And Coach kind of went over it before in the coach's corner. We cut it a little bit short because of Arthur, but you can't just pick and choose when you're going to buy into a system, I think is what I'm trying to say. You know, Coach, does that make sense?
Yes. Yeah, I agree. He's not able to. His DNA doesn't allow him as a player to play that kind of a style.
Yeah.
And I get the whole thing where we also had that conversation with Arthur at the restaurant and with EJ that this is him. You're going to get this out of him. So you have to build the rest of the team in a different way.
Right.
Which is fine if you have the supporting cast, but I think a special play. He needs to play with a special kind of player that can understand where to be. They talked about it on the radio with McDavid and Zach Hyman.
Right.
He almost wants him to be on the Olympic team with him because there's a dynamic that he has. He knows where to be when McDavid's on the ice. And it just gels and he gets points. And, you know, and Panarin needs that kind of a guy also. Though that one year with Trocheck and Laffy, it clicked and, you know, they were feeling it. And then somehow they lost it. Maybe, I don't know, maybe Panarin was changing. Something wasn't there. But it's hard to get in the mind of where that player is going to be and what he's going to do. It's a difficult position to be in.
I think that's going to be a really dynamic line if he's on the same line with Quentin Byfield. And he's
I don't know. Is Byfield going to be able to figure out what to do when Panarin's out there? That's a big question.
It's a big if, but they're both really
you could
good.
Say it may happen, but it may not. It may confuse the hell out of a kid like Byfield.
Can I ask you a question? Do you think Byfield is more advanced than Alexis Lafreniere?
I don't think so. I mean, you don't see him on all these highlight reels on the in the NHL Network and stuff. He's doing okay.
Yeah, he goes up and down.
Okay.
Like he does.
Just a question.
No, we're just answering. He's like been a flash in the pan. He started out really slow, and then I think he kind of surpassed Laffy, and everyone was kind of giving Ranger fans shit for that. And then I feel like Laffy then took the lead, and Byfield took a step back. You know, I feel like ever since Byfield made that mistake in the playoffs against the Oilers, he's never been the same. He hasn't been the same. I think was that last year or 2 years ago.
The fair assessment. You're talking about the overtime off the wall that he chipped and then it went the other way?
Yep. And then the Oilers came back and won that series. That type of thing really weighs on a player of that stature, of that age, whatever maturity level. And that kind of takes it a step further where we saw it really click with Panarin and Trocheck and Laffy. You wonder if that's going to be able to, if they're going to be able to find the similar situation with Byfield. And that's hard, especially as a center. to play center as a young player like that, it's got to be very difficult to adapt to a player like Panarin, who's been in the league way longer than you have. And it's kind of something
what? And now Byfield's going to be playing center with a winger who doesn't play defense.
Yeah, right.
So, and there's a lot of adjustments to make. It's not a matter of they're going to light up the league.
Byfield's not a two-way player like Trocheck is, from what I know. I mean, I don't think he's that's not what he's known for, at least, so it should be interesting. It's going to be very interesting. But I said to you, Mark, too, I mean, I'm kind of excited for it. It sucks. It's sad. You kind of think back, we're going to do blind rankings in a little bit on some of Panarin's best moments as a Ranger. You think back on those times, but then you also, similar to what I said about Crowder, you think about all the times he really pissed me off, and the conversations Coach Ed and I have had countless times on this show. It's just time. It's time for a new change. I'm reading another quote that you sent where Drury hasn't putting a timetable on it. To me, I think that kind of goes against what he said in the letter, where he kind of said they were planning on being back as soon as next year. Now he's kind of saying it might take a little bit longer than that from what I'm reading here. But Coach, I mean, you keep saying it, or not harping on it, but you keep saying that the Rangers are really only one or two players away. Do you still feel that way, or do you think they need to replace a player like Panarin and then get two more players?
Yeah, they're going to need a couple, and it's going to take a couple of guys to step up. Mika is able to put some points on the board. Mika's a 100-point scorer. If he could be 80 to 100 points, so we don't need two of those guys. I mean, ideally it is nice, but I'd rather have
a healthy JT Miller puts up close to 100.
Another one. Yeah, so they are there. So we need to get those. We need to get Laffy to wake up. We need guys of that skill, and maybe a couple of guys in the farm system will wake up also. Everybody keeps complaining that, we let Radish go to Tampa. Look what he turned. Maybe we have another guy down there that's going to do that. You got to look internal a little bit sometimes also. I don't know. It's going to I'm just surprised Drury, as the player he was, a Stanley Cup winner, competitor he was, doesn't know what it takes, and he's having so much trouble figuring it out. I'm a little shocked by that. There's a variable we don't know about, that something's going on that is stalling this whole process, I feel. I don't know if that's the owner or what.
Well, Allie, your favorite player is Will Cooley, and Arthur he did flat out say that Will Cooley quickly became his favorite player as well because of his style of play and that type of thing. To me, I think that's what Chris Drury is looking for in terms of the style of play this team is going. Do you feel that way? Or do you feel like Cooley, now that Panarin's gone, could maybe blossom into something more as a top six? Or do you think he should be more of a middle six guy?
It's definitely possible, but I would love to see him on the top six. I think some of his best games, I'll say last season, were when he was on the wing and it was him, Mika, and JT on a line. I think those were some of his best games when he was in the top six. So I would love for him to blossom into that. Fortunately, he's not having the best year right now, but I would love for him to eventually blossom into that. I think that we've spoken about this, that he will eventually. I mean, I feel like either him or, hot take, but Johnny Brodzinski will eventually be the captain of the team.
I think Johnny's a little bit of a long shot, unfortunately.
A little bit, but again, I love a hot take. I
love some wild Vegas odds on that.
I'm with it, but I mean, I'm glad you brought that up, because that's what I was going to ask you next. Is finally the A is ripped off of Panarin's chest that I've wanted for a long time. So who gets Panarin's A? Do they just roll with three? Well, because now even Fox is out. So right now, what do they only have? Trocheck and Mika technically in the lineup right now with a letter, because Fox and Panarin. Well, Fox is obviously still here. They don't just take the letter away, but Panarin's gone. Do you think they'll stick with three, or think they'll maybe give Cooley an A?
If they were to go with an A, I'm going to say, because I don't think that Cooley is having the best year, I think you give it to Sam Carrick.
That'd be awesome.
Ooh.
That'd be awesome.
I think Sam Carrick has night after night proven if you are not going to do something, he is scoring. He scored. But if you're not going to do, we spoke about this on Name 5 Players. But if you're not going to like make a play with the puck, you have to find your niche somewhere else, or you have to make yourself useful somewhere else. And he does make himself useful. He makes himself known on the ice. He's not a dirty player by any means, but he steps up for his teammates, regardless if, whatever it is. He is a true team player, and he deserves the A if they're going to give it to anybody.
That'd be awesome.
Right.
Mark, who would be your pick?
So I'm going to say that I would go along the lines of what Boston did. They didn't announce a new captain this year. You got Pasternak still wearing an A. I think they go through the rest of the season, after they get out of the Olympic break, maybe about 20 more games, 20 to 30 more games, right? I think if I'm correct. I don't think they name another A. I think you could lead a team without having the letter. I think we've spoken about that before. Sam Carrick is certainly one of those guys. Obviously Johnny B brought up the young guys. He did a lot of time in the Wolf Pack, and a lot of those younger guys right now, we don't see what's in the locker room. There may be a little disarray, but hey, yeah, you could lead a team without the letter, and I think you regroup at next season and see where that goes. As for the Cooley that we were just talking about, I think obviously like last year, he's gotten away a little bit from that crash in the net presence. I think that's why Gabe Peralt has that top line spot. Gabe's rocking with Zib and JT Miller, and I think it's bringing him along pretty well. You could see the playmaking ability that he has. So that top line right now, I think, is great. I like it. I like to see him build on it. But I do see Will Cooley as a top 6 guy. I don't think he's not going to be not in the top 6 next year, if we're going youth. So love Will Cooley, but I like how Gabe has stepped up a lot to help with the playmaking ability and learning. So that's my
take. I would say I like Cooley, Laffy, and Trocheck to blossom into something.
We need Laffy to step up. Yeah, could be.
And I have to piggyback on Allie. I would give Carrick the A, and I would sign him. I said it like 5 games into the season. Sign that guy for 5 years.
The other night, I got to talk to Sam Carrick a bunch. He's really, really, really cool dude. And I shook his hand. I looked at him like, man, I really hope you stay here for more than just next year. We love you. I know the fans love you, but we really do love you. And he was very like down to earth, appreciative guy. He was super cool.
Did you ask him about the maple syrup?
Yeah, what the hell?
Hold on. Of course I did.
When is it coming to the States?
So right now, as you know, the tariffs are a little steep. So he didn't want, and being the gentleman that he is, he didn't want to put that burden on his family and his brothers. That's exactly what he told me. And right now, I think when everything is settled, you might be able to see it. But I was like, where can I get it? I need to try this stuff. And he just took a good chuckle, and obviously he went on his way. But that was our closing. As he walked away. I need some maple syrup.
Well, we got to drive to Canada, buy a couple of cases, and just come home.
So let's do a road trip. We'll get on the mat. We'll go to a game, and then we'll get some, and then we'll come back.
We plan all these trips and do none of them.
None of them.
Hey, I got a lot of map pieces I can put on my map.
Well,
Eastern Canada is done. I have to go west.
Well, Ali, there's only one way to do things that we say we're going to do, and that's just do them.
That's it.
Rangers Ed road trips. We got to make it happen. If not this year, definitely next year. And
we went to Allentown. We said we were going to do it. We did it.
That was
that's what sparked it, and then that was it.
It literally. Yeah. It fizzled out after that.
Yeah. I didn't really get to give my pick. I'm with that though. Like if it's not Carrick, it should be a player like Cooley. It should be that style of player, even if it's Johnny Brodzinski's healthy scratch sometimes for whatever reason. That's a different subject. But a player like that really, to me, makes the statement, like, hey, this is the direction we're going. This is where, like, it's not giving the letter to a player like Panarin. I know we're really hard on Panarin tonight, but, like, that's not the type of player that sets the tone. You know what I mean? Like the culture, whatever it is. So I think that makes a statement. Come out tomorrow and do it. That makes the loudest noise I think you could coming off of news like this. But we'll see.
My opinion is that it's Carrick or no one. I feel I love Cooley as a player, but they gave him the opportunity on the first line and second line, and he puts too much pressure on himself to do things that he shouldn't. I think if you give him the A at this stage of his career, he's going to put more pressure on himself, and it's going to take away from his game. That's how I look at it.
Yeah,
I would give it to Carrick or nobody, and I'd give Carrick 3 more year extension and give him the A.
I'm co-signing with Coach.
I'm with it. If they're looking to retool or whatever, like I keep saying,
build a culture.
Yeah, I was going to say change the culture of what it is. Like,
he's a player that's not going to be expensive. Like Mark just said, he seems like a great guy, just happy to be there. He's a player that might sign for like $1 million or $2 million for 3 years, whatever it is. I think it's a no-brainer, especially with the cap going up and things we keep saying over and over again.
We gave Barclay Goodrow an A.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, he was the leader. That's what.
Yeah.
We should have kept him too. But anyway, so now, I mean, we're going a little long here, but I want to quickly talk about the return. I know it seems like it's a little underwhelming to everybody in terms of our fans and whatnot. I personally had no idea who the kid was when Mark first texted us. I was working, and I honestly couldn't believe my eyes at first. I really thought it was a complete fleece because I think we were all kind of expecting or thinking they were going to get a first-round pick, maybe even an NHL caliber player. Obviously, we found out later on that the pressure was really on Drury to just get whatever he could at that point. That being said, and reading what we have read about the kid that they got back, I think it's a pretty good return. I mean, if obviously the jury's still out, we could have another Laffy or Kakko or whoever on our hands where it takes forever for the kid to develop. But all the articles say that all he wants to do is improve. And that's the first thing that I saw. And that's really all I need to read is if that's the scouting report, is that all he wants to do is improve, then every single day he's getting better. I think that's the best thing you could read about someone, Coach. What do you think?
I agree 100%. I mean, I didn't get a chance. I got home late too. I didn't get a chance to watch any videos. I want to definitely do it tonight on the kid, but he was a number 1 pick, a first-round pick. I always say number 1. He was a first-round pick.
I think in the first round.
Yeah.
What number?
Number 26.
All right. Well, not a high first-round pick, but top 26 in the country, in the world as a pick, which should be pretty good talent.
Yeah.
And like Eddie said, you guys said, we had no choice. So we got a first-round pick back.
And that's the thing too. It's like instead of getting the pick, they got a first-round pick.
So that's
it just happened to happen 2 years ago.
That's one of the quotes I sent to you guys. Oh, you were going to read it. All right. One of the quotes I had sent to you guys, Chris Drury on the new prospect, Liam Greentree. We value him, a prospect like him, higher than a 26 or 27 first-round pick. He's an 06 birth year and ready to turn pro and wrapping up on his junior career.
Yeah, I mean, Gabe Perreault went to NCAA, so it was a little bit different. But if we have another Gabe Perreault on our hands where it seems like everyone's saying that he's NHL ready, Drury wasn't the first person I read that today, or to say that, I should say. So I also read that he's like 220 pounds or something. Like he's a big
200, like 220 pounds.
The Spitfires listed him as 6'3" and 216 pounds last season, which would have made him the 4th heaviest Kings forward behind Quentin Byfield, Anze Kopitar, and Tanner Juranovic.
Yeah, I couldn't believe Byfield was that big, but that's besides the point.
This kid can skate.
Yes, that was a thing too. He improves on his skating almost every offseason, or he tries to. That was like one of his downfalls since he's so big. But apparently he's been working on his explosiveness, and apparently, yeah, his speed is just taking a big step from what the articles said that Mark sent us today. So
He just keeps getting better and better.
Yep.
Chief among his progress has been his improved skating, which he has worked hard at with power skating coach Kyle Allard and by strengthening his legs in the gym. So just another quote.
And he is a captain on that. He's the captain on that team, which I guess in juniors, like they probably just give it out to like the best player in the team. But hey, he's still learning on how to be a leader, and I think that's important. Allie, I think you were going to say something, but we cut you off.
I'm sorry.
Oh, I don't remember. It's okay.
I think Allie was going to read the quote that I had up also. Sorry, Al.
No, I wasn't. I don't remember what I was going to say.
Does anyone have the information on the conditional pick in front of them? I know it's probably
yes. So the conditions are it's a third round. If the Kings make it past the first round of the playoffs, it becomes a second round pick. And the 2028 fourth round pick becomes, they only get that if they make it past 2 rounds of this playoff.
Okay. So let's hope they don't play the Oilers in the first round.
Yeah.
Or maybe
I wouldn't bank on that second pick.
I was gonna say I wouldn't bank on it being a second round. I would keep your expectations at a third round.
Yeah.
Now there was also
the piece that they needed.
Well, we'll see.
That's why they traded for him.
Yeah,
Coach,
we'll see.
We'll see.
Now they were also the Rangers were gonna eat half the salary, I think, this year.
Yeah, but they retained 50%
retention.
and the King, yeah.
Yeah, which is, of course, only the rest of this year. And I think how it works, it's only like, I don't know, maybe like a couple million at this point in terms of like the rest of the season. So it's really not as bad as everyone. Obviously, you see that retain word. You don't like to see that when trades go by, but it's really not going to affect the Rangers, I don't think, in terms of salary cap. And it's not like they're looking to add anybody anyway. So what's the difference? So it's what it is. I think we've talked enough about Panarin. Mark, I wanted you to quickly, before we move into the blind rankings, a new segment we're going to try to introduce. Well, not our new segment. A lot of people do it, but we're going to try it for the first time. Mark, I just wanted you to you already talked about it a little bit about Casino Night, but what else stuck out to you in terms of that event?
Casino Night. It was the second time my wife and I went. Obviously, it's the Rangers fundraiser for Garden of Dreams. So that's sort of like the spotlight of the night, not to get away from how cool it is to walk around, interact with the players, and play poker and all that stuff. The real spotlight is that it's for Garden of Dreams and for raising money. So that's a super cool thing that happened. As for being there, it was a Roaring 20s theme. The wife and I haven't posted any pictures yet, but the wife and I got dressed up. We had a really good time. My wife really took it to the max, and she's beautiful. She was awesome, beautiful dress, and she had a really cool headpiece. She kept getting compliments on, but the players, the players were awesome. Still, I don't got to tell you about hockey players. They're still just bros. I got to sit down for half an hour, 45 minutes, and play poker with JT Miller and Adam Edstrom. I walked around. Ton of pictures, literally pictures with every player, I think, except for Quickie. Cooley, I didn't see Cooley all that much, and Laffy was walking around, but I missed him. But literally everyone else, Taylor Radish was one of Vladislav Gavrikov. They were all down there. Everybody's dressed up to the max, and it's just a really fun night. And if you're a diehard,
did you tell Radish the hat trick story?
I actually did. It was my opening to, before I asked him if I could take a picture, I told him that my buddies all busted my chops because I threw my hat for his one of my new hats for his hat trick. And he started laughing at me. He goes, "You probably shouldn't have done that." I was like, it didn't even make it to the ice. Yeah, it was funny. He's like, "You should have done that." I was like, I know, I guess. But that's what you do for a hat trick. It's the rules.
That's great.
But it was awesome. Yeah, It was a really great time. It was a really fun night, and I say it wasn't as well attended as the first one I went to, but the I don't think there was any poor sentiment there. Like there were no players there that would had their heads down. Everybody was having a good time. It's for a good cause. It was a fun night, and it's really, really cool to interact with the team that you love so much. Interact with the players. It's a special night. So I would say if you ever get a chance to do it and you're able to, definitely do it.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, like, when you're sitting down with JT and Edstrom, like, who sparks the convo? Like, how do you start talking?
I think you guys know me pretty well. I'm just going to start talking.
To anybody, yeah.
That's not a good question to ask Mark.
That's what I always think about.
Like, if I went, you could be like, how'd you spark a conversation? Because I don't talk to anybody.
Allie stared it up until they were like, what's going on?
Until they're like, can we help you?
I said, JT was super cool starting to talk to him. I segued into obviously his overtime goal that he had against the Blues. I told him that somehow that his puck ended up in my collection. He thought this would be cool.
Somehow.
But we were just talking about everything. We're talking about hockey, talking about going overseas to Milan. It was all laid back conversation. Nothing too intrusive, but it was they're just always willing to take pictures. Everyone's taking pictures. I can't wait to post. It was a really fun night. But conversation for me, I don't got to tell you, is sort of I just like talking to people, so that's fun.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I shouldn't say this, or I shouldn't feel like I should be able to say this, but it's a little shocking to me that no one causes any trouble, like whether it's asking a too personal question, like anyone just giving them a hard time about anything. It just seems like everyone's just there to have a good time, forget about hockey for a little while, and that's it.
I also feel like it's all adults, and you kind of know how to read a room. Like what would you want to ask them that's too personal? That would,
I don't know, like what injury you're battling, like what's going on this season, like you just
Coach.
anything. Like Coach Ed would have asked him literally anything. You shouldn't be.
Hey, Coach.
That's very true.
Are you ready for this? I'm
going next year.
You know who I had good conversation with?
Boys, Coach Ed's coming.
They're gonna be bringing me out by my arms. Get it?
He's in the Hannibal Lecter costume.
I had some good conversation with Urho Vakanainen. I wasn't rude.
Are you a fan now?
Listen, you know what? He turned around. He turned around for me and took a picture with me in Utah. He's a super personable guy. Listen, there just sometimes, I got to blame somebody, and that sometimes it's him. It is what it is.
Every once in a while, there's a bad turnover. What can you say?
Every once in a while, you're right.
You take a great picture, it doesn't mean you can't turn the puck over.
Yeah, he was hanging with Spencer Martin a lot, which was really cool. A lot of these guys are very humble, and what's crazy is what I always forget. Like, the Rangers, we watch them. We look like, I don't know, not that I look up to them, but like I look up to this team. It's my passion. And most of these guys, I'm older than 99% of them, if not all of them. But I never saw it that way. Like you got a guy like even JT Miller. I'm older than JT Miller. So but you don't look that way. I guess
Mark, you're 41. You're older than all of them. Every player that's there, you're older than.
Even quick.
Yeah. You're not wrong.
Even I am. I'm 36. Like, these guys, they're so young. I mean, Allie, you're older than a lot of them too. So.
Well, I won't go there.
No, but I know what you mean. You put them on a pedestal, like you look up to them, but then you think about it. It's like, wait, that kid's 18 years old.
No, the maturity level's there. Gabe Perreault, even how young he is. Just how he handles himself, and it was super cool. He was hanging out. Gabe Perreault was playing poker with Will Borgen and Shesty at the same table. Like, it's just cool the actual how they get everybody together, and it's just your favorite.
Good,
by
the way, like healthy. I mean healthy, not like.
I didn't touch his shoulder. I didn't touch anything. I wanted to make sure he was nice or his legs. He was.
No,
I didn't want to.
Healthy, good, like.
So did Adam Fox. Adam Fox looked great also. They all looked like everybody was happy. and happy to be there. And it made you forget for a couple hours that right now our team isn't doing the best. It was still a lot of fun. It was great to be with all of them. It was pretty
That's
cool.
great.
And
It was
for a
it was a
great
very special night.
Well, you definitely got with some morning mood for the casino night
Yeah.
recap. So
Yeah, you're not wrong.
with the positive moods, man. I mean, that's what this fan base needs right now is a little Mark tomorrow morning or Friday morning, without a doubt.
I'll get it to you guys.
No,
don't
do
worry.
it Saturday morning when it's going to be like 12 degrees.
You got it.
All right. So why don't we give this a try, Allie? What do you say? Let's get into these blind rankings.
So,
Better late than never on the trend. Let's try something new.
but I'm gonna tell you, last minute I did switch it up.
Coach gets up.
Come on. I'm gonna tell you, last minute I did switch it up because you kind of said, okay, we've talked enough about Panarin, so we're not making it about Panarin.
What? You switched it up again on
Talk
Coach?
value.
You did the triple switch.
That's what gets the
You
views.
switched from the bathroom. You're killing me, Allie.
Wait, what did he say?
I just heard Coach from the bathroom. You're killing me, Allie.
No, but we are switching back to my original idea. I didn't screw you guys that bad.
All right, whatever you think. I mean,
All right. So, well, I'll wait till Coach gets back. Should we wait?
Yeah, he's got to hear it. No, he's
I
back.
can hear you. I have my headphones on.
Okay, so we're switching it back to the original idea in the spirit of the Olympics, since they're coming up on Friday. I think they start.
I think the women start tomorrow already.
Well, yeah. So like, there's some sports that start early, but like I think like hockey starts Friday or something.
Nice.
Like
I think the 12th is the first USA.
I heard the U.S. is playing Denmark and the winner gets Greenland.
Oh, oh boy. An unsolicited shot across the bow.
I'm keeping an eye on the viewer count. I think we're still good.
Are we good?
Yeah.
All right. So, in honor of the Olympics, we're going to blind rank the best American NHL players.
Okay.
So, fifth, like your fifth one would be who you think is like the worst. Your first is the best.
All right, Coach. Let's see what we got here.
All right. Jake Getzel.
Ooh. That's a good one. That's a really good one. My gut feeling is to put him at 3, Coach. What do you think?
I'm going
4. All right, let's go 4. We'll go 4 because I was.
Oh, we're doing this together?
Yeah, you're
I
gonna.
thought
like,
you were doing one and I'm doing
it.
one.
No, you're gonna team up on it.
We're gonna team up.
Okay.
And we'll
I
agree
say
on-
let's go 4.
I agree with 4. I'll go 4.
4? Okay.
Yeah, I was leaning 3 or 4.
Kyle Connor.
Wait a minute. Wait, is this just this year's team or from all time?
No. It's not even from the team. It's like from any team in the NHL. It's just American.
Oh,
No,
so
he's asking if it's
just
all-time USA
just current players?
No. Like current NHL players, current American-born players.
All right, we'll still stay with 4 then.
Okay. The next one, Kyle Connor.
He's got to go 5 then.
Right, I like Gensel better than Connor, so
Yeah.
Okay.
this is gonna put us in a tough spot. I already have a feeling, but we gotta
Sorry,
go
that
5.
then 3 is better for Getzel, but whatever we said.
Late. Too late.
I love it. I
That's the
love this
point.
game already.
First of all, I thought it was all-time Olympians from the U.S. I didn't know it was just current guys.
No, just
Gensel hasn't been an Olympian.
All right, so go ahead. We'll stay with what we got.
Thompson.
Who?
Tage Thompson.
Oh, okay. We're still in good shape. I think we're still in good shape. I wouldn't
How would
necessarily
you think
take him
Tage
over
Thompson is
against.
better than Jake Getzel and Kyle Connor?
Well,
Yeah, I
that's
wouldn't
why
necessarily
this is
take him
called blind
over.
rankings.
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily take him over Getzel, but he is a center, so I do value centers a little bit more. He's much bigger than Jake Getzel. He's younger. I'm going 2,
Okay.
Coach.
All right, if you want to go 2, I could go with.
Tage
I'm good
Thompson
with
at
2.
2?
I mean, 3 would be the safe answer, I guess, but then we're really
No, but
leaving
we
it
got
wide
it. We need
open
to save
have-
a slot. Yeah, we need to save the slot.
So you
Yeah.
have 1 and 3 open right now.
Correct.
Okay. Quinn Hughes.
Oh, all right. See, we're still pretty good. There's no way she's going to give us someone better than Quinn Hughes as the last one.
Maybe.
I'm trying to
I
think
don't
of who could be
know.
better.
There's a lot of guys on that team. That are
Yeah, I mean,
really
you still
good.
got Adam Fox. You still got, I mean, you think about all the guys that didn't make the team. You still got Zach Wierenski, Charlie McAvoy still out there.
I gotta
Everyone.
say, you gotta give Quinn Hughes number one.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say too, because there's no way she's giving us someone better than that.
Look, love him or hate him, I'm not saying he's the defenseman I
Ready?
would pick to have on my team, but he did get to Minnesota and turn that team around. Not
He's
around,
doing
but
pretty well in Minnesota.
in a big way. So,
Yeah, we
All
don't
right,
watch
so
him. We don't
number
watch him
one.
every. What'd you say?
but they also have Farber, right? They have Farber
Yeah,
or Faber, whatever.
Faber. Yeah.
So it's a good dynamic. So, which could be her next pick.
Yeah.
Ready?
All right.
So we're gonna go number one with Quinn, right?
We have to. Yeah, we have.
She's about to blow you guys out of the water.
Patrick Kane.
Oh, he's not on the team this year.
Well, right now, or is this all time?
I said like all time.
No,
I know you gotta.
I literally said the best American-born NHLers.
Well, that's different than.
It was
No.
very
In
vague.
honor, I said in
Allie.
honor of the Olympics. I said in honor of the Olympics, we're gonna go with the best American-born NHL players.
Yeah, so I mean, if she was gonna give us like other players, like Patrick Kane-esque players, she would say like Madonna. She would have to go back in history, but like giving us the Patrick Kane mixed in there at the end is a curveball. But I think I'm still pretty confident putting him at 3 right now.
Okay.
No, 2 or 3?
Three.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not thrilled about it, but you know,
All right,
I
It's
think,
not. It's not 5.
right. I think
Right.
at 3, like right now, you would take Quinn Hughes over Patrick Kane, I think.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
it really depends on how you look at
Yeah.
the question.
Yeah. But it's your own personal ranking, so.
Right. Right. All right. I think that went pretty well.
I mean, next time you got to
Coach
have.
hated it.
I need written guidelines of exactly what's going on.
You said you understood the game.
We'll make a graphic.
I understand the game, but I thought it was U.S. Olympians.
No, I said in honor of the Olympics.
I heard what you said now.
You just said best American-born NHLers. She didn't say anything really about the Olympics.
I don't think she said NHLs. I think she
Yes,
said
she did.
Olympians.
we're gonna go back
She
to the
said it.
video.
Well,
Yeah,
This is being
American-born any
recorded.
hockey players.
Let's
would
roll
be
it
you,
back.
obviously.
Roll it back.
All right. I don't think
Quickly.
we did too bad.
No, I think
quickly
that was
on
pretty
this-
solid.
On the
So we
same
had Quinn.
topic.
So
Hold on.
Quinn
Quinn
Hughes,
Hughes,
Paige Thompson, Patrick
Patrick
Patty
Kane,
Kane.
Jake Etzel,
Jake Getzel,
Jake Getzel.
and
Kyle
who
Connor.
was, hold on.
Kyle Connor.
Yes.
Kyle Connor.
Not a
I'm
bad
happy
list.
with I'm happy with my list.
That was a good list.
I think I'm
I
pretty
don't
good.
think it's horrible.
I think I'm happy with our list.
That was fun. I could come up with these every week.
I like it.
I
like
do
it.
it for
Yeah,
5
yeah,
players.
every week. Let's go with twice a month. We don't want to like.
All right.
We don't want to like burn it out again like we did with all of our other segments.
Yeah, I don't want to.
Hey,
I don't
what do
know
you
if I
think
can
the
handle it
banter?
every week.
What do you think
Mark,
the
what were you
banter on
gonna
the
say?
USA team is with Jake Gensel scoring on Swayman to win the outdoor game? You think they're gonna beat each other up when they get over to Milan?
Oh, they're gonna give each other some shit.
Especially with that goalie fight too.
Oh
That
my
was some
goodness.
game.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
That was
Speaking
awesome.
of which, we're gonna do a milestone moment.
Yes, thank you. That's what I was doing next. In speaking of Patrick Kane, we got our milestone moment this week. Is Patrick Kane breaking Mike Modano's all-time points record as an American-born player? 1,375 total points with the Blackhawks, the Rangers, and of course the Detroit Red Wings. So, yep, Patrick Kane, one of my favorite players of all time. I really wish he had longer time with the Rangers, but it is what it is.
Or a fair shake with the Rangers.
Or a
I
fair
mean,
shake.
that's another guy they let go that they signed, went out of their way to sign. Now he's excelling with Detroit. I mean, come on, you had it. Tarasenko's doing well. They're all these guys.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's what Arthur was saying. It's all about fit and everything like that. It's hard because, I mean, hindsight's 2020, right? Patrick Kane very easily could have got that hip surgery and not been the same player. So
Yeah.
it is a little bit of a risk. And luckily for
But he's
Kane,
Patrick Kane.
Exactly.
The guy is Superman.
For sure, man. For sure. Pleasure to watch all these years. Going to continue to be a pleasure to watch in the playoffs this year with Detroit, hopefully.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
You know what the coolest thing is? They interviewed a ton of players, and there's so many players in this league that grew up watching Patrick Kane, and they're playing in the league with him now. It's really cool to watch.
Can I just say something?
Of course.
This is gonna look so fixed. If this wasn't live, this would look so fixed that I chose Patrick Kane as the last one.
Yeah.
I just realized that.
Good segue into the episodes for sure. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing else really to say. Mark, you said it good there. A lot of the New York born, American born players we're seeing now looked up to players like Patrick Kane. Jack Hughes definitely. Clayton Keller, I think, mentioned it. I mean, the list goes on. I'm sure Tage Thompson at one point. All the people that we just really said, I mean, grew up watching Patrick Kane and what he was able to do being an undersized player, especially being picked first overall, living up to that, and getting the 3 cups in Chicago, helping create a dynasty there. And his legacy lives on. Hopefully he continues to help Detroit and he stays healthy and is able to finish his career the way he wants to finish it. And it's a privilege the NHL still gets to watch Showtime do his thing.
And I heard the stat. I don't know what the actual stat is. I tried to decipher it with Eddie. They said it on NHL Network when they interviewed Madonna. He's the only American-born player to have 3 original 6 teams and 500 goals. Something to that effect.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome.
And that'd be a nice plaque, by the way, Ed.
Yeah. What, the 3 numbers?
With the 3 jerseys.
Yep. That one's going in my man cave, though. That one's not for sale. That one's being held on to.
1 of 1.
Yeah, definitely 1 of 1 for that one. But yeah, I mean, Jonathan Toews is another person. Can't mention Kane without Toews. So great milestone moment in honor of the Olympics. And, of course, Patrick Kane, 1,375 points and counting. All right. What else we got next? Might as well go right into the upcoming schedule. We only got 1 Ranger game to look forward to this week before they go on the Olympic break. So I included the Team USA games on the upcoming schedule this week. But not to get ahead of ourselves, the 1 remaining game before break against Carolina tomorrow night. Coach Ed, Allie, and Mark will all be in attendance. So if any of you guys want to try to find them or link up with them, they'll be outside the 100 sections, like 104, 105 area. If you guys are passing by and want to say hello. Oh, well, Allie's taking our seats up on the bridge.
Well, no, but I'll be downstairs.
Allie, once you get up there, you don't really feel welcome down in the 100. So I'm just warning you.
I've made my home down there. I have to tell them I have to slum it for a game.
Yeah, there you go.
Are you actually going to admit to the people down in the hundreds that you're sitting upstairs?
Of course.
Oh, okay.
Well, I do want a realistic or an honest review of our seats.
I love the Chase Bridge. I've sat there before. I love it. So. Yeah,
Coach Ed and I love it as well. So, all right. After that, I mean, hopefully they're able to squeeze out a win against Carolina. Obviously, a rival of the Rangers and a rumor that Panarin was going to go to. Thank God that didn't happen. But after that, what?
I said, could you imagine?
No, I can't. It's one thing to trade Keandre there. It's a much different thing to trade Panarin there.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, looking ahead to the Olympics, something we can all agree on as fans, rooting for Team USA. Game 1 against Latvia. Hopefully should be a pretty good warm-up game. I mean, I think Latvia gave everyone, some trouble last Olympics, if I'm not mistaken, but that was before the NHL players were allowed back in. So we'll see what kind of team they have. And then on Saturday, 2/14, Valentine's Day, we got Denmark, which once again should be a good warm-up game for the team. These are Olympians, so it's always going to be a tough game. And then Sunday, we'll be back at Borelli's with Hockey Night in New York is putting on a little Olympic show. So they invited us back at Borelli's Sunday, 2:15 against Germany. So that should be fun. Hopefully we can get some people over there and just enjoy it and not have to root for any Ranger team or complain about Drury or this, that, and the other. We're all just rooting for Team USA, the red, white, and blue.
They'll just complain about Sullivan.
Yeah, whatever. We'll just have to hear that JT Miller tries harder in the Olympics than a regular season game in January. That'll be the next one. So definitely looking forward to that. Allie, if you could make it down that weekend, that'd be great. Mark, I know you live right around the corner, so you have no choice. What'd you say? What'd you say, Allie?
I said I'll definitely try.
Yeah, it'll be fun. I know I sprung that on you guys just now, but I was talking to Mark before we got on here. So not Mark, Sean, before we got on here. So that'll be fun if we can get out there.
Love Allie with the definite baby.
As always, the upcoming schedule is sponsored by Sorrento's. If you're in Long Beach, definitely head on over to Sorrento's for a custom pie or any of their other delicious food items. I'm trying to find the right layout here.
A brownie battered donut that Mark couldn't get today.
Yeah. I see those things on their stories too, and there's so many people that probably see that and just go right there. It's crazy.
They're ridiculous. They were sold out.
Yeah, it's wild.
I got my leftover zucchini parmesan on the homemade ciabatta bread that I'll be eating in about 15 minutes.
Sounds delicious.
Open right now.
On that note, guys, good episode. A little bit of a longer one than we've been putting out recently. But Arthur gave us more of his time than I really thought he was going to. And like I said before, thank you so much. Very generous. I say it all the time, but I really can't believe that these guys or these people that we look up to as reporters or hockey people we see on social media and all that good stuff want to sit down and talk with us and give us their time. Like I said to him, he could have been having dinner with his family or hanging out with his wife or his kids or whatever he wanted to do, but he wanted to BS about the Rangers with us for a little bit, and something like that. Just, I can't really thank you enough. So thank you again, Arthur.
Yeah, that was great.
Sure. You guys have any closing thoughts on the Panarin or anything like that before we sign off?
I think
I'm just glad they got it done sooner than later so they can go into the trade deadline and make some more moves, whatever he's got to do, and hopefully move on to a positive direction.
We knew this was something that was going to be done. So I'm happy it's done. It's past us, like Coach said. And now, you're going to get into trade deadline stuff where we may not like the next couple of moves. There may be some more players that go, but this is where we're going to get assets. Not like what just happened. Or hopefully, our guy turns out. Hope Greentree turns out to be a great player for us. But the next couple weeks are going to be very very nerve-wracking. And, I still do think they're going to move some players that we're not going to want to see move, which is going to stink. But then we'll keep staying positive and we'll keep moving forward. So,
yep. Well, the good thing is that we don't have to think about it for the next couple of weeks while we sit back and enjoy the Olympics. Other than hockey, I'm really looking forward. I love the Winter Olympics. I love watching the skiing, even like the snowboarding half pipe.
Yeah,
and things like that. I really
it's
love
great.
The bobsledding, the luge, all of that.
Yeah,
I love it. The Winter Olympics are way better than the Summer Olympics in my opinion.
Absolutely, that's what I was just about to say. Without a doubt, the sports are much better. So yeah. That's what I wanted to say. Next week, we're gonna take a week off from our live shows. We pre-recorded the EJ Radick interview. What was that? 3 weeks ago at this point. So some of it might be a little outdated. We did talk to him about the Panarin situation, but thinking back on it, he might have been a little accurate on some of the things. So we'll definitely have to take a look at that. We're going to release that next week, next Wednesday at our usual time, 7 p.m. So you guys can watch that, not live, but live for you, I guess, on YouTube. And then after that, we're going to come back to our live episodes with Rivalry Tour Part 2 for this season. In the past, we've only done the rivalry tour in the summer before the season started. But this year we decided it'd be a great opportunity with the 2-week break to bring our favorite guests from the other podcasts on to recap or to catch up with them. I think most of the teams, we had different expectations than what has happened. So we'll have, what is that, 215? Let me bring up my calendar real quick. No, 218. I'm sorry. 218 is going to be the Flyers and the Penguins. So we're going to have Siobhan Nolan back on and Nick Burleski from Tip of the Iceberg podcast for the Penguins. And then on the 25th, we're going to have Sean from Hockey Night in New York, possibly Arthur as well. He's got to get back to me on that one. And Neil Villapiano from Devil's State of Mind. So we're going to have our own little version of the Tri-State Hockey Podcast. And we're going to do a little bit of a crossover Rangers, Islanders, Devils for that episode. So that'll be a ton of fun. So we're really looking forward to that. Like I said, the Devils were supposed to be good. They're not good. The Rangers were supposed to be good. We're not good. The Islanders weren't supposed to be good. They're good. And the Penguins weren't supposed to be good, and they're good. So literally all of the opposite that we talked about with the rivalry tour, the opposite has happened. So it should be interesting to catch up with all of our people.
So we'll call it the George Costanza rivalry tour.
And
The opposite of whatever I thought of.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, that'll be fun. I'm looking forward to that. I think it'll be some cool little content while we waste some time or kill some time until the NHL comes back. And, yeah, we're looking forward to it. So enough for me rambling. If you guys have anything else to add that I forgot, please do so. Otherwise, I think that's it for tonight. Love you guys.
Peace and love.
Great
Love
job. Love you guys.
Good stuff.
Solid
Great job.
night.
Let's go USA.
Let's
And
go
as
Rangers.
always, let's go Rangers, Ed.